How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And welcome to your 12th annual, that's right, your Most Wanted Marvel Omnibus poll results. We are going to be showcasing the top 60, but I'm not going to be doing this alone. We did it live last year, and you all enjoyed that, and here we are again. This time I have a full house, so I want to go ahead and let my panelists introduce themselves. To my right,
I'm Crisis with a K. I write all the time about comic books on crushingcrisis.com, and I love appearing here before you minties on the Near Mint Condition channel. To me, this is like Christmas and my birthday and Halloween combined. I live for this every year. I'm so excited to be here and to have had a hand in presenting these to you. Like, let's go.
Oh, and he had a huge hand. A huge hand to play in all this. Him and Dom, I cannot forget to stress the fact that Dom helped out a ton too, in Taylor Talks Comics. So thank you all so much. And now
James on the results. My God.
Oh yes, thank you for that. And to his right is
Heyo,
right,
it's OmniDog. Did you say 60 or 16?
60.
60. I'm out of here.
We did the same thing last year.
Was I here? I'm
yes,
OmniDog from OmniDog's Vault, and I just wanted to say better days. Better days.
You get one plug, buddy. You get one plug. That's it. That was it.
I know that Alicia goes around the house singing it, and Melanie does it on the air.
She's grounded. She is grounded.
You're the best. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a blast to always have you, and I'm glad you're feeling better too.
Yeah.
Now, underneath me is my buddy, the Norwegian assassin.
Yes, Lars Pearson, publisher and editor-in-chief of Mad Norwegian Press, formerly of Wizard Magazine. And I'm joining you at the last minute because Omar rashly almost let Peter and Jess go on unsupervised, and that would have been like giving a teenager a bunch of Pabst Blue Ribbon and handing them the keys to your car.
I love that you went with PBR, baby.
Well, why not? It's just not a good idea. Because if Jess and Peter are left alone, I mean, the results are fire, chaos, anarchy, and on extreme days, it's something akin to Caligula's Rome.
Okay.
That is my mission statement.
I'm treating that like a glitch. It's really a feature. Yeah.
To his right is the whole reason this happened to begin with 12 years ago, because this is the 12th annual results. Who are you, sir?
I'm Tigereyes. This is a poll that was started on the Marvel Masterworks board, and because of you all, is now larger than like they ever imagined. And I have nothing to plug or promote. I'll go back under my rock until next year.
I'm just glad you're here, and you're here because you have all that wisdom and history with this, because you created this in the Marvel Masterworks poll or forum, and now you have seen it just change over time, and that's something that we are going to be talking about, like some of the changes. And Crisis went full core with numbers here and statistics, and this is insane. We are going to be presenting the top 60. The most important thing is I'm going to be emailing Marvel the top 20. Whatever they decide to do with that list, it is up to them. They can laugh at it, they can throw it away, whatever it is. But maybe they might humor us, or they might be like, it's a pretty good idea.
They might say already planned for 2025.
Or this is a 2026 book. What are you fools talking about?
How did you get a hold of our publishing schedule? Yeah.
That's true. Tigereyes
Wisdom of crowds.
Tigereyes has secretly worked for Marvel Comics for the last 12 years.
Or they may say, look at the new shirt that Jess got from Bar for his birthday.
Very nice.
It's Dustin Wynn, right?
Yeah,
Dustin Wynn shirt?
Right. And there's Batman at the bottom. He's all tied up. So it brings in Peter and the kink factor. So there you go.
Excellent.
Okay.
He loves a good tied up. Oh, that was Wonder Woman. Sorry.
I love that you threw Peter under the bus. Not yourself for wearing this shirt.
You have multiplied the breasts upon your own breasts. Yes.
So thank you all that voted. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that first, and then we can start showcasing the books. Over 1,600 votes, and that's not even counting the ones that we had to get rid of because there were multiple accounts using the same IP or just wow, all 30 of these email addresses voted for the exact same books in the exact same order, and they all sound kind of similar. So I mean, there's always that happening, which is okay. You know, it happens. Hey, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the total number was 1,630. Everybody here voted, just out of curiosity, the 5 of us.
I did. I don't think I did. I brought great shame on my household by not.
You did.
I mean, I often miss it.
Why
because
is he
I wait
even
until the last possible second.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I voted.
This year,
the
I had
last
both
day.
Tigereyes and James in the background going, we are going to turn it off at midnight. I'm like, well, that's helpful when you actually the poll
Yeah.
organizer is threatening you that your vote is not going to be counted.
Well, I'm just glad that Taylor sent out a reminder, our social media reminder, that, hey, don't forget to vote, because it came up on my email, and I'm like, oh, I haven't voted. So I need to vote. And that was the last day at about 11 o'clock, and I went ahead and voted for my top 10.
I had to do my homework because I can't vote my straight Dazzler ticket anymore. It used to,
Yeah,
always be Dazzler. Dazzler
How
was
did
number
that
one.
happen?
I
Yeah.
had to have original thoughts
Yeah.
this year.
1,600 is a lot. That's like over half the size of my hometown. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
Is that
but I'm
counting
not
just
gonna-
the cows or?
No, not the cows. No.
Okay.
Now I do my top 20 most wanted Marvel Omnis every year, and I map them. So it is interesting to see how different I vote than most people voted. But that's what makes this so fun. It's not about us. It's about you all that voted for this. So thank you all that voted. Over 1,600. Yeah, 1,600 votes.
I
So that's
like
a
to
lot.
think it's always about me. I don't. What are you
Well,
talking
this is an Omnidog's vault. This is the Near Edition.
about?
the
The
home
home
of
of
selfish
supposed
people.
collected editions.
Tigereyes.
Yes,
What
sir.
was how many people voted last year since you got through? Because you used
It
to do
was-
this through email.
Just over 600.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we got over 1,000 more votes this year.
Wow.
Whoa.
Great.
Made it a little bit easier, but I think a lot more people had fun.
And we heard all of your feedback on the Google form, the giant poll. We're already in the talks in the background of how to make it smoother for next year. So we appreciate that it was not easy for all 1,600 of you. And feedback is super important. I captured every comment about every book that could be potentially missing or named more clearly. And I'm already looking forward to the 13th annual. But let's get these results of the 12th annual before we start getting obsessed with the future. Shall we, Omar?
Yes. And one more reminder that the next poll we're kicking it off with Taylor next Sunday, and that is the DC Most Wanted Omnibus and Absolute Edition reprint poll.
Okay.
And then in May, because we got to build that and give ourselves some time, is the Most Wanted DC Omnibus poll.
Ooh.
Okay.
Which will also be sent to my contacts over there, and whatever they do, they do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about the results. We're going to be going over the top 60, but the top 20 is what I'm sending to Marvel. So I hope at least one of yours that you put in here made it on the list.
How many of you?
All right. And a big thank you again to Peter and Dom and Taylor and everybody that helped out behind the scenes. James for hosting the whole poll. Like, he was the madman crunching numbers and getting rid of things that shouldn't have been there. So, like Alf, just kidding. All right, Peter, take over. Oh, Elon, thank you for the super sticker.
All right,
Go
folks, so
on.
here is the numbers. Voting ran for about 2 weeks. We received this, the number of votes here is the number of votes that were countable votes. So this is ones that did not have any mistakes or seem to be duplicates. 1,595. As you heard, that is over 2 times the number of votes received last year. The books, we had 634 titles that were pulled from prior votes in the poll, as well as an extensive review that we all made of all of Marvel's publishing history. We wanted to make sure as much as possible that any run long enough to logically fit into an omnibus made it onto the poll. So those, we heard a lot during the opening stream. 600 books is a lot. Do you need that? Are you sure you need that many? Well, here's why we needed that many. Of those 634 books, 98.5% of the books received at least one vote. There's at least one person out there that wants 98.5% of all
Do you
of
have
those
the
books.
books that didn't get votes, by the way?
I was
to
just thinking that.
No,
I
we
was-
can't. We're not going to shame them. We're not
Okay,
gonna shame them.
okay.
Some of them were.
What if one of them was my book?
Okay.
Some of them
Share-
were poorly titled, which is on
Oh.
us, and then some of them I think were just like too new or were like a volume 2 of something else, so people focus on the volume 1. But again, that only 9 books didn't get votes. Of those books, 53% of books got at least one first place vote. So over half of the book, somebody's number one book. And this I just thought was so interesting. Pretty much a quarter, 24% of all of the books received a vote in every place. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. Which I just thought was really fascinating, kind of showing just how much the appeal is. So that's why there were 634 books on the poll.
And I like to remind people that analytics are made up 85% of the time.
Exactly right.
I just wanted to throw that in there after all the hard work that my
Made
friend
them all up.
super sticker from Elon. Is that Enrique Iglesias?
Oh yeah,
That
my
dude in
fave.
concert like 2 times. I'm not gonna sing the Jess, but I can be his hero. Kiss away the pain. I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away. There you go. I will
Thank
sing
you, baby.
That was the William Shatner version of Enrique Iglesias.
You
All right.
can take my
Peter,
pain away.
please share the no voters with us when the video is over, because we can't shame them in public. We can shame them in private.
Oh, Lars is gonna be so pissed when he finds out one of the books was his.
Well, sure.
All right. Kicking it off with number 60, Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze, Volume 1. We also, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did this, but we also put what we think it might collect and then some notes. And this was all Peter, by the way, including the first time that it appeared on the Tigereyes poll and the previous rankings from years. So you can see the difference in the years there. I don't know if Peter traveled to the future to go to 2028, but this was ranked number 23 and 23.
I told you I was proven for typos.
I was looking at the mapping. I wasn't even looking, but you know what? That's cool. It's cool. We know what you meant. We know what you meant.
Yeah. And I want to say about the mapping, we're not being prescriptive. Our mantra in the back end here was this is a titles poll, not a mapping poll. So you'll notice as we go through, we only put in the collects box the minimum thing that it could collect. So this doesn't say how far we think it could go. This doesn't say what all the extra issues would be. It's just like everybody knows this would start with Marvel Spotlight 5 through 12 and Ghost Rider 1, and that's how we'll be doing all of that.
So keep that in mind. What did happen to Omnidog? Oh, there he is.
I had to get my glasses. I forgot.
Can't trust him. I am surprised this is a little. That is low for this one.
But a lot of things have changed.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
certainly.
1,600 votes, right?
Yeah.
Before
And the Masterworks are out, although you can't get the first one. It's going for crazy prices.
Well, and I think one thing I will say is that I'm sure the age demographic has changed too in the voting. Because when this started in the Marvel Masterworks forum, and I say forum because people in their 20s are like, what's a forum? And I mean, it's a little bit of a joke there, but there's a lot of truth to it that, you know, you have shifted now the ages. You're going to be seeing some modern books in here, probably a lot more than you have in the past. And if anybody can attest to that, it's Tigereyes.
Also, the sample size is huge this time compared to previous.
Yes. We had so many
And
more
I will
books.
say the publishing plans do affect which way things go too. The fact that we have a Ghost Rider Volume 1 for Danny Ketch now published kind of like lessened the heat on Ghost Rider overall, maybe. Like maybe people were like, ooh, could we get more Danny Ketch stuff? So there's this very complicated dance that you can see if you go back and look at all the prior years that Tigereyes has witnessed of like any kind of publishing moves stuff up and down. Masterworks can move stuff up or down. Omnibuses of the same character can move stuff up and down. So it's no book, even the most popular books at the top of the poll do fluctuate a lot from year to year.
Yeah. And I think this was supposed to be, is it number 28 in 2023, Peter? Is that what it was supposed to be?
It was 2018. It was the only one that had skipped like 2019, 2020. And I think I was trying to respell 2020 and made it 2028.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's just
so
a
it
little
skipped
bit,
a year and missed the poll for 2 years.
unless
and then
Peter thinks that even in, oh my gosh, in 4 years' time, we won't have this omnibus and people are still
the
voting
Marvel
for it.
will be. This is one of only a handful of books that have been around since the first poll and have never been printed. You will see just a few. I think 4.
Yeah.
That is quite excellent, though. All right, moving on to number 59. Surprisingly, this low too, considering how many times I've been seeing. Like anytime I make a Thunderbolts announcement, people are like, "When is this coming?" I'm surprised this one surprised me. Did not make it to the top 20. Thunderbolts by Ellis and Gage. aka Volume 4. This is what happens after the Fabian Nicieza era and right before the Jeff Parker era, hence the title, aka Volume 4. It's been previously released in the Dark Reign trade paperbacks, and there's an epic of some of the stuff coming out too. So, Peter, this is the first time in the Tigereyes poll, though.
Yeah, and you'll find with a lot of these that they're first time in the poll, but that's because a prior volume previously was in the poll. So in 2022, volume 3 was number 44, then volume 3 got printed. Now this one is in the poll as well. This was one of our very controversial titles in the poll because we mapped this and the Andy Diggle Omnibus separately. A lot of people were like, what are you doing? That could all fit into one. There's not that much Diggle material. It depends on how much sideline material each of them would hold. But again, this was a titles poll, not a mapping poll. People voted for this one, and some of them thought of Volume 4 could include the Diggle stuff. Some of them didn't. All of your votes are valid. And down in the notes, you can see this could include more material from the period, like Penance, who is a member of the team during this Deodato period. Moon Knight, the whole team appears in that entire arc. It fits in like a 0.1 issue into this run, or it could be extended to the Andy Diggle. So you weren't voting on a specific mapping. You were voting to get a Volume 4, and you've got it here at number 59.
So thank you so much for the super chat. Number 1 to be the Simpsons Omnibus, semi-serious. We shall see. We shall see. There is some licensed material that made it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 59. Moving on to number 58. Daredevil Volume 4. This is one that surprises me that it's so high. I didn't expect it to be this high. And I know for some people this is so low, considering that it was 52 in the 2023. And probably because this is the first time. No, Volume 3 was 52. Sorry, because this is the first time it's on the poll because we got a Volume 3 that came out just this month. So Daredevil Volume 4. And hella mapping there, Peter. How'd you go about it?
Well, we know that the Master, Daredevil is one of these lines that tends to line up very specifically with the Masterworks. But curiously, if it were to do that, the next set of Masterworks will bleed slightly into Frank Miller's run. So the mapping there is everything right up until Miller starts. The question really becomes, would this book actually just continue collecting into Miller following the Masterworks map, or would it stop right before Miller so that it lines up with the Miller Omnibus? If you go to Crushing Crisis, I explained all of the little intricacies of how that could happen. But I think what we all know is this is going to absolutely go right up to Miller because that is almost the full contents of 3 Masterworks.
Oh, will it? Well, you don't think? Oh, Peter.
Well, that's a Map My Daredevil question. But you will see repeatedly on this poll that we refer to the 3 Masterworks rule. Many Silver Age lines will always collect exactly the contents of 3 Masterworks in an omnibus.
Yeah. By the way, if you're crazy and you do want to see the full list, I will be putting that on the Patreon, all 600 and something that you want to see. Oh, wow. If you want to see that kind of data. I do the same thing with the Most Wanted reprints, too. So tell me about this one. This is a tie, 56 and 57. Why is it a tie? Dark Avengers Omnibus, by the way.
Well, there's another book that tied it in the votes. Any big fans on the panel of this Dark Avengers run by Brian Bendis?
I'm kind of agnostic about it.
It's okay.
It's actually possibly my favorite Bendis Avengers book. Jess, tell us about this book.
Well, it's one of Peter's favorite Bendis books.
Yeah.
I just loved that it went the whole Norman Osborn thing, getting criminals to be heroes and doing ridiculous things with and wasn't this when Asgard came to Earth and was hovering over Oklahoma or whatever?
It ends in Siege, and I would have probably added Siege in there, but I'm not here to argue with Peter.
Sorry?
I'm not here to argue with Peter.
Oh, yeah. I just enjoyed this twist, and I think it went along just enough. It wasn't too long. It was perfect, and I liked that it ended with Siege and Asgard coming down to Oklahoma and all this stuff. I just enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And Peter, you're a fan of this. You said this was your favorite.
I love this. I think it's really fun. I think that it was a cool, different spin on Thunderbolts because this was pretty much emerges from that Warren Ellis Thunderbolts run, which kind of continues to this in a way.
Yeah,
but it was in a way that we had not really seen done with Thunderbolts before, where they're they're not even in a little bit of a debate about if they're doing anything good here. And I think it was just really delightful. And it was a really fun kind of central book of that kind of Dark Reign through Siege period. I'm a big fan. I love Mike Deodato's art in this period. I would absolutely buy this.
Oh yeah, it's when he makes Norman look like Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, that's right.
What's up, Lars, Peter, Uncle Jess, Tigereyes, and Bromar?
Bromar.
What's up, Lionheart? How are you, my
Lionheart.
friend?
Lionheart.
Omar, you will notice it does say Siege 1 through 4 in the
Yeah, I
pop
thought
one.
so. I saw that.
I see it now. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
This
Are you
ain't
paying
Matt.
attention? What are you
This
doing
ain't
down there?
Matt my Bendis. Number 56, 57. Right, with Hawkeye, Kate Bishop.
Oh, this would be good.
I'm all about this one. This is
Yeah.
follow up to the Hawkeye by Matt Fraction's run. So this has been available in oversized hardcovers before, but it is the first time it's making its appearance here on the Tigereyes poll. Solid book featuring the character of Kate Bishop. You have Kelly Thompson writing a lot of the stories. I love the fact that you included West Coast Avengers in there too, because that was also in the Gwenpool Omnibus. But I think it makes more sense.
Really
for this
big
one.
for it's really big for this character, and I think that like you wouldn't want to ignore it. And we posed this on the poll as 2005 through 2018, but then looking through the mapping that can include almost everything significant Kate Bishop had done before 2015 has been in Young Avengers, which is omnibus, has been in the Hawkeye omnibus. So this is pretty much everything of hers that has not been omnibused all under a Young Avengers or Hawkeye banner, and it's Jeff Lemire and Kelly Thompson. But again, this is just our guess. You could have a Kate Bishop omnibus that has every cool Kate Bishop moment from the beginning to the end. That's what you all were voting for. We're trying to give you an idea of if you wanted to go and read this potential omnibus, what would it be? And I think that's a pretty good bet on what some of the material could be.
If this gets printed, y'all better get Kate Bishop. It will go right nicely up with your Hawkeye by Matt Fraction.
Yeah. Did you say?
Go ahead, Jess.
No, Comic Slayer's right. You can address that.
Oh, we need more Kelly Thompson omnis. Yes. We don't have our first one yet.
No, we have Captain Marvel Volume 1 by Kelly Thompson.
Did that come out already?
Yeah, because Volume 2 is still.
Oh my god, I need to subscribe to that Near Mint Condition channel to let me know.
No, then you wouldn't know anything.
Then I wouldn't know anything. Such an absolutist. Number 54. This is another tie. Oh, Jess, you have a question.
And it would potentially have more Kelly Thompson.
Yeah, it's not important. Go ahead. I'd rather keep going.
Okay, this is the first time it's made it on the poll. This is the one that I mapped. I'm not mistaken.
It is not the first time. Back in the third annual poll in 2015, people were already demanding a portion of this material, specifically the Edmondson Marvel Now run. So this is just kind of like an expanded title for that, which is Black Widow: The Modern Years. Again, we tried to go broad rather than carving up Black Widow into 8 different books, which might not have gotten votes. And surprise, it worked. So this is a book that Omar fought for really hard on the poll, and Omar's instincts, as frequently are right. And there are over 100 issues of Black Widow from 1999 to 2020. So this could be a multiple omnibus run of all of those series.
But I mean, you're getting some classic stuff in here, not just
all really good,
but the Mark Waid stuff. And as much as I hated Devin Grayson's Nightwing, Devin Grayson's Black Widow is pretty solid. And yes, of course, Kelly Thompson's run too.
Yeah, this was one of my votes.
American Splendor Omni Wen asking for a friend. Lars,
what?
You have a printing press. You own a publishing company. When will that come out?
Oh God, I'm being put on the spot. I don't know.
I'll help you map that, Lars. I'm a huge American Splendor fan. I'll map it.
I think I'm going to need a lot more money to get the rights to that, but yeah.
Okay. This is really true, right? We are looking at the top 10.
Yes, that's
like
true.
10% of the books. Anything out of 600 that made it on this list is pretty damn high and impressive. I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Also, you're right. There's over 100 issues here potentially that could be collected. Is just shocking. I mean, some of these franchises just keep going and going and going, and you look away for a little while, and suddenly the amount of material there is crazy.
So we are gonna talk about every mapping and run about to be a 10-hour stream. So maybe I should give like a trigger warning. Yeah, if you don't like people talking, maybe wait till the list is printed out. I promise. Like that I'll be putting the full list on the description of the video after the stream. I know that some people can't. A bunch of people talking.
Well, you could mute us and just look at the slides. I mean, that would work.
No, that's the feed. No, shut up, Lars. Damn it, you made me skip one. Tied with Doom 2099.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'd rather this be higher.
This is one of those very, very acclaimed runs that, a lot of people live and die by it, but it never really gets much traction.
Damn it.
But it's good.
Well, I mean, we've got X-Men 2099 Omnibus. We've got Ghost Rider 2099 Omnibus coming out. We've got 2 Spidey 2099 Omnis.
This would be the
I
next
can actually
one.
see this happening. This is one, I love this run. It's
I do
good.
too.
Yeah.
And it's really cool and good even before Warren Ellis takes over. There's a trade paperback of the Warren Ellis stuff, and people like that because it's Warren Ellis's name, and he was just getting into his kind of transgressive comics era in the middle of the 90s. But it's interesting from the start. And it's also a lot of issues, even though the actual series is only 44 issues. It's got those specials and one-shots. It had the Fall of the Hammer crossover. And then during that AD, which was after Doom period, he kind of occurred across many of the other books. So it's one of those situations where it would say collect subplot pages. So this would be a pretty hefty omnibus. The other thing is the chat is kind of bemoaning, oh, my pick was so low, we failed. Anything that's on this poll tended to get at least 10 first place votes and over 50 votes overall to make it into the top 60. So we are not talking about things that just got 1 or 2 votes here. These are things that over 50 people threw in for this. These are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Do not feel like these books are also rans just because they're from 50 to 60. They got a ton of votes.
Mute Omar and raise the volume for Peter. I don't know how to do that, Freddie.
Oh, am I quiet? I might be able to do that on my own computer.
No, he's just
I
making.
think he's being facetious.
Yeah, he
Previous
is.
years,
He's
did
not
Marvel
wrong.
still release Omnis that were low on the poll? Oh, yeah. But Marvel has never followed. That's the other thing I need to make sure everybody gets this point across. Marvel has never followed this poll. They do their own thing. This is the first time I'm sending them the top 20, and they could still do their own thing. This is just, I'm going to put in how many people voted and how many people wanted these top 20. So that's what it is. That's what I'm doing a little bit different this year.
That's good to know.
Whatever they decide to do with that is up to them. Scarlet Spider by Chris Yost. This one was a lot of fun to put together. First appearance on the Tigereye polls, 11th annual poll in 2023. So last year. So number 37 was the first time we saw this in there. I would be very excited for this one. This is where you get some early Ryan Stegman artwork too. Before he became huge Ryan Stegman. Now drawing X-Men, which is freaking awesome. Good for him.
This one surprised me a little. I feel like it's like kind of niche. It's a title that came and went. It's very easily packaged, but the trades are very hard to get a hand on. And it's nice to see that even though Kane is not a big character in current Marvel, that there's still fans carrying the torch. This kind of surprised me that this made it into the top 60, but not in a bad way. I actually really, really like this run.
Hey, I mapped that book on the Masterworks forum.
Well, then you might have got it on the poll last year to begin with.
So what I still have some hope. Yes, there's always hope. And Kenny, I promise we're going to do the top 60 most wanted DC Omnis poll in May. I think
I'm
it's when we're going to pick that.
for that. Very psyched. This is the most excited I've ever been for the DC poll.
I've seen you more excited.
Okay, that's fair.
Over a bowl of cereal. Fantastic Four, Volume 6. Made it to number 52. Previously, last year alone, Volume 5 was number 22. So, a little bit, I guess people probably realize, well, odds are this book may not come out for a few years, but I still want it. Remarkably, it still showed up in the top 60. So that's pretty cool. And using the Masterworks mapping for this one.
Yeah.
And there are a dozen more issues before we get to the John Byrne era. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I was on this one, I was like, okay, I hope people vote for New Mutants first. And that leads into New X-Men. But I also realized people like to get the best of the best first. Like, I think I was alone that's saying, oh, I would like a big time era Spider-Man, but people are like, no, we need Superior Spider-Man, which to me is like his magnum opus when Dan Slott was writing Spider-Man. And I feel like New X-Men it's kind of like what the New Mutants led to. And this is when Colin Yost came over to the comics from the animated universe, of course, bringing along X-23.
Nice.
But this is a great series. Yeah. Some people hated it, and I completely understand, because if you like the Weir and the Phillips series, they established some new characters. And Colin Yost said, yeah, you know, those new characters, those people took a couple of years to establish. We're going to kill 80% of them. And we're going to have our own team. And they're a bunch of badasses. Some people don't dig that. Others are like, oh, this is awesome. And leads, of course, into them working on X-Force, which I really, really enjoyed. Any other thoughts, prayers to add to this one?
Prayers.
I think that some people might say, well, what about the New Mutants that comes right before it? But again, like
this was
made such that you could just read it, and that's what the trades, that's where the trades pick up from that House of M run. So a lot of times we kind of just looked at the trade and said, well, what has Marvel collected already? And this is the way that they have collected it.
Was this run something that you helped organize on my shelf?
Childhood's End, yes. The words I could not say repeatedly. Childhood's ends.
Right.
What is the possessive term of childhood's ends? I'm so excited for the poll that I'm listening while shopping. I love my husband's voice, but Peter does have a smooth quality to his voice that I appreciate too.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you
okay, baby. I guess Peter can start paying your damn bills then.
Melanie,
I will serenade you with Phil Collins the entire time, Melanie.
I'll serenade you with this, Melanie. Better day.
It's gonna take him a minute to realize he's on mute. Okay.
If you know what ASMR is, Peter
muted me, you bastard.
Peter will offer an ASMR version of this later that you can enjoy in private.
Okay. Jerk.
Thank you so much.
Worth it. Number 50. Wow. I can't believe people are ready for this freaking era. X-Men by Al Ewing. You X-heads are crazy.
I'm reading this right now.
This is a great book.
It is. But I'm just
there's other. This is the problem with the Krakoa era, is that there's many great ones you could pick, but certainly this is one of them. Yeah.
I'm reading this right now. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It is really good. I'm just surprised it made it so high, because it's sort of still new. But I love the fact that this collects all of his Sword run, which led into the X-Men Red, and includes the Cable Reloaded one-shot, which kind of plays... That one is the... That's the one where Cable has to make the big gun for the Guardians of the Galaxy crossover. Yeah. Oh, that's an awesome issue. But number 50 is your very first Krakoa omnibus that you all have chosen.
I mean, this might be the omnibus that would have the newest issue in it out of the entire poll. I don't know. It's not a spoiler. I'm not sure. But I was really impressed to see that there's that much demand for this, because it feels like towards the end of Krakoa, people kind of lost steam. But Sword into Red is a great read. It's epic. It's like the war for Mars, aka Arakko, that happens towards the end of Red could have been a whole event on its own, and Ewing just does it all in one book. So it is an immensely satisfying read.
It's really interesting. And there's a lot of writers, I think, that struggle to write Storm. They can't quite get there with her character, but this one does.
Oh, yeah. That probably one of the best Storms of all time.
Now, the one thing I do need to note is in this, since it is by Al Ewing, I'm 95% sure if Marvel decides to do this, they would probably add it was 3-issue miniseries, right? Blood and the Storm and the Sense of Sinister miniseries.
Well, I mean,
Peter.
Sorry,
it's Al Ewing's name. You know they're going to do it.
They could. I mean, they absolutely could, and it does influence this. And why not?
Yeah, we've said it before. The mapping for the Krakoa Omnis is going to be a nightmare, because
but it's such a fun.
Unless you're prepared to include everything, and I'm not sure they should do that. I mean, there's just too many moving parts that are contingent on each other.
And you could throw that Immortal Thor issue in there. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Map my Krakoa. Oh my goodness. Do I miss Map my X? I need to talk to Peter about that. Get him to write a contract. 49, Old Man Logan by Miller, Bendis, and Lemire. This one's huge. I think it'll be split up into 2 omnis, right? How did you map?
Well, this is just the.
Oh, you did. Yes,
probably of 2.
Not the Ed Prison stuff. Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. Mapping is solid. You're putting in there the not. Okay. It's double dipping, of course, with
Oh,
Mark Miller's Wolverine
Okay.
Omni, but we know that Marvel and DC they will double dip if they want to. So, but it does include the Secret Wars miniseries that kicked it off again, and then the Jeff Lemire runs on Old Man Logan with Andre Sorrentino for most of the artwork on that. I want to say.
It's a little surprising this one isn't already out. I mean, certainly Marvel has not let this character go. That's not a criticism. I mean, they do it a lot.
Well, I think well, let's see. He had a miniseries, and there's a couple of other miniseries with old men, like old man Quill and
take it easy.
old man Hawkeye, fictional old man, not
Easy,
real
easy.
old man. So maybe
I actually
there's
really
gonna be
loved
something.
this run.
I think it's got its moments.
Okay, well, I loved it. It's something I read and loved.
Well, good, man. That's why it's here, because people like you loved it and read it and now want to buy it in omnibus format.
Sure, I'd upgrade.
So it starts off with him in that possible future, and then it's part of the Battle Worlds thing, which leads him to climbing over a wall, and there he is in R616 universe. The NAM, holy crap!
Whoa, I
Who
forgot
paid
about
good
this,
money
but-
to add this in here. This was one of my votes, by the way.
This is one of my votes as well.
I am very impressed that it made it to the top 60. Number 48. This is the first time it's appeared. Like, I'm surprised with the Marvel Masterworks forum. This was not in the top 20 or 60 before. Tigereyes, any input on this? Why is that? Why'd you let that happen?
Never read a single issue of it. Know nothing about it. Didn't even know it was a Punisher book.
Well,
It's got a couple Punisher things.
Okay,
Michael
I'm
Golden
sorry.
on art, though. Ooh,
so
good.
I mean, let me try to sell this to you all who have no recollection of this. This was coming out alongside, DeFalco, Thor, Claremont, Uncanny X-Men, alongside Punisher, but it was a look at real non-superheroic people in the Vietnam War, and then sometimes their present day as well. At that time, Punisher was being written as if he had served in the Vietnam War. Later, that's been retconned to be part of the Siet Kong War, as part of Marvel's fictional country that they assign all of these Southeast Asian conflicts to. But it's very much based on actual events that happen. I find myself actually crying a lot of the times when I open it and read it. There's one issue where the soldiers are all helping kids out of a village and letting them sit on the tank and stuff. And the next issue, those same civilians are killed in an actual massacre that references the actual history of the Vietnam War. If you grew up in the 80s, Vietnam was very real and present because a lot of the people that were our parents' age lost friends or served in the war. And I just think it's a really interesting series, and it's very unique for an in-continuity Marvel series. And it would be really, I think, really significant to see it collected in omnibus.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter. There are, I think, did it make it to 2?
There's a few classic trades,
Trades?
2 or 3. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember because I remember having one, but I mean, the series went all the way to issue 84. My goodness.
I mean, what's shocking is that this wasn't, I think, written by Larry Hama, who was, because that's what makes
it looks like. Sorry, go ahead.
That's what makes G.I. Joe quite interesting for me, is that even though it's filtered through G.I. Joe, Larry is bringing his actual Vietnam experiences onto the table, and it really gives it some pathos. So yeah.
I think, but wasn't it so apparently there's 3 trades, but wasn't it one of Larry's friends that was a vet that wrote some of the stuff in here?
I mean, that
it was for a black and white magazine. This would make one hell of an omnibus, or 2 rather.
Yeah.
So I'm there for that. Daredevil by Dennis O'Neil.
Okay.
So,
why didn't we write Denny? What's wrong with us?
Well, we're professionals here. How do they wait? What is the Batman omnibus, Jess? Is it Danny O'Neil?
I don't have it. I don't own it. It got ruined in the flood, and I let it go.
Oh,
I can't tell you.
Not the root beer float.
No. The real flood, the real basement flood. Yeah, it got ruined, and I did not replace it. So
look at my wife. She's so sweet. She said, "Thank you, Tigereyes, for doing this poll and letting NMC share it." Thank you, Tigereyes. So this would be a theoretical volume 6. What are we mapping here? 194 to 225. This is post Frank Miller.
That sounds right.
Oh my gosh, how would they map? Because remember, the Frank Miller Omnis are also missing these, or it's missing that one Steve Ditko issue.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where do they treat the Frank Miller Omnibus as sacrosanct, or do they remap it in the classic run of Omnis, much as we're seeing?
Oh, they're going to rebrand them.
Right, much in the way that we are seeing.
You could, only because the Miller run's not that long. So,
well, on top of that, keep in mind the Miller Omnis also have modern colors, not like the modern colors that were used for the Neil Adams Batman Omnibus or the Walter Simonson Thor Omnibus, but still modern colors compared, like if you compare it to the Marvel Masterworks. So they could use those scans and saying, look, volume, what would it be? 5, right? Volume 5 will have some of the Miller stuff in there. We'll have the new Masterworks scans.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is one of those ones where we know it's been in the poll in the past multiple times. People want it, regardless of if it's a volume 6 or it's just called by Denny O'Neil. And the map is ambiguous, because you could just collect only Denny O'Neil. There's 2 issues between Frank Miller and Denny O'Neil, so it could include those. Why abandon them? But then also the end of the Denny O'Neil run kind of leads right into Born Again. And Born Again, I believe, is in the Daredevil Companion Omnibus. So why would you also collect to the end of Born Again so that this meets up with Ann Nocenti on the other side? So again, this was a titles poll, not a mapping poll. Would this be volume 6? Would this be by Denny O'Neil? We know what we know, which is that people want to see the Denny O'Neil content in omnibus format, and that's what got it to number 47. Pretty consistent with its rank last year, so staying power. Last year was 45, this year was 47, even with 1,000 more votes. So even with that much more proportionally, this stays just as popular.
Oh, wait a minute now. Let me get my thesaurus.com going. I didn't know we were keeping tabs on this. And don't throw Lars into that mix.
Yeah, Lars is going to be in there too.
Put Lars in there. I'm done, man.
Last night, Kid Crisis was reading a book and she asked if I could get out the dictionary because she had to look up the meaning of the term sardonic invective. And I thought, well, we could just ask Lars because that's really.
I did walk into a trivia competition and everyone glared at me and they go, Lars, you probably know what aglet means, don't you? I'm like, of course I do. It's that little plastic thing at the end of your shoe.
Of course I do.
And they all go, damn it, why were you not here? So yeah.
All right. I hope Daredevil by Chichester. Right? I think that's how Curtis told me to pronounce it.
It's later. We can hear Omar trying to say
Chichester. Damn it. Where's Curtis when I need him? Should I read O'Neill's before Born Again? I mean,
you have to, but it's good.
Born Again has always stood on its own.
Yeah.
Number 46, Web of Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. Good choice. The only choice for the cover, really, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is the choice that Charles.
I almost picked another one because I feel like we always talk about this one cover, but it's just so iconic.
Phil Owens. No, it's not. You leave that man alone. Fall from Grace forever, baby. I love that book. Yeah, you're right. And it is going to be the direct market cover, too, to the Alien Costume Saga.
Oh, then maybe they can't reuse it.
Unless some jerk on YouTube reminds them that they've already used it so they can update the covers. But yeah, there's going to be some big double dipping here with all the crossovers and how this is kind of like a book that had, part 1s in, what was it, Spectacular, and then it went into here. But I still feel like people want this to come out too. Because we have Spectacular coming, and it is one of the best covers ever.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this run, it's not in Masterworks. Is it in hardcover at all? I'm not sure it is.
No.
No, because the Masterworks are right now hitting early 80s, right?
Yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s is where they're at.
It's gonna be a while. Yeah.
This is 85. Sorry, 85. Yeah. Punisher War Journal coming in at number 45. This is the first time, I'm surprised by that one too, that it's been in the Tigereyes poll. This has some freaking amazing artwork by Jim Lee. Probably has, I don't care how many times they reprint issues 6 and 7. The fight, the Jungle Story with Wolverine. Oh gosh, it was so good. And Carl Potts coming in from Advertising. and editing to write and actually draw some of this too. It's a great run.
And
Lasted
Punisher
40
has a
issues.
tumultuous history on the poll when it comes to his earlier material. There are some years that the main Punisher series ranks. There's some years which some of the other series rank. There's some years that really focus on more modern Punisher books. It kind of just feels like, you know, the polling changes, the people voting changes, the tastes change, but there's always some Punisher that people want to see in Omnibus. Honestly, outside of his Max Omnibuses, he is relatively under-collected in terms of 616 Punisher.
Yes, this is also an odd era where like the Punisher was actually able to sustain 2 books a month, and that is
3.
You're right. It was 3.
Because we ended up getting Warzone, and then we had
Yeah.
the Armory thing. Yeah, I mean,
and that
Punisher
is-
was huge in the
Yeah,
90s.
and that is definitely not the case after moving forward. But yeah,
Well, I mean, he had his ongoing series when it was Max, and then that we got a bunch of little mini series during that time, but that was about it.
yeah.
At one time, he was a huge character.
Yeah, it starts to get choppy. Yeah.
Number 44, Amazing Spider-Man: The Gauntlet.
Okay.
Another one that I'm surprised made it so high, because this would probably be part of the. Well, okay, I like this idea, Peter. Damn it! Now you've talked me out of it. Because what you did was saying that this could be the book that bridges Brand New Day with Big Time, which is the beginning of Dan Slott's run. Brand New Day is still the brain trust of the Marvel writers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Big Time is when Dan Slott took over the book 100%. And this would be the big crossover that bridges that gap. Is that what
and there's just no, I mean, we tried, because with Spider-Man, it was a title where we tried to make sure every issue of Amazing Spider-Man was represented on the poll, because it's Amazing Spider-Man. There's just no way that all of this could fit into Brand New Day Volume 2. The omnibus would be even past the size that Marvel has been willing to go on Marvel
all the minis,
modern Spider-Man omnibuses. So then we looked at the trades, and actually they did the Gauntlet and also a trade following the Gauntlet as a separate trade line from the Brand New Day trades. And it makes sense, because the Gauntlet really kind of starts abruptly and is a clean break in issue 612. So if you really wanted a full Spider-Man shelf, we'd need Brand New Day 2, then we'd need this, and then we'd need Big Time 1 and 2.
Technically, it would be a Brand New Day Volume 3.
Yeah, you could think of it as Brand New Day Volume 3.
I don't know. Maybe they might do something, because it was such a big event, the whole Gauntlet thing. Oh my gosh, it's like what, 5 trades, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of issues.
Two thick trades. So,
and again, our map is just a guess. Marvel could just call it Brand New Day 3. They could break it up in a different way, but we know people ask for the Gauntlet. It's been on past polls, not quite in the top 60. It's why it's here, and this year it's in the top 60.
That is Spider-Man Reign that you're thinking about.
Yes. That's a different horrific story. Yeah.
The Gauntlet is him like fighting all these villains.
Yeah.
Nice way of putting it. Yeah. Uncle Raj making it to the top 43. Avengers Volume 8, aka by Uncle Raj Volume 1. So it is the beginning of his run. And you're right, this could be mapped perfectly with the rest of the Avengers. Because we have some of the Masterworks already. And they could map it. This would be we're taking a guess, right? Volume 8 here. And you're basing it on the Epic Collection. Very nice. It's great.
Well,
great
this is one where there's not a lot of mystery, because the Masterworks do pretty much line up with this perfectly, and it's been completely collected in Epic Collection. So we've got it mapped every which way at this point, and it's just a matter of getting there. It's much lower on the poll this year than it has ever been. It started out in the top 10, but and that's actually one of the few that's been on the poll since 2013, the original poll. I think I know why, though, because now that we're up to Volume 5 in the Avengers run, people can kind of taste this coming. And so it's like less frantic to get it as a standalone Roger Stern, because it's now just a finite number of Avengers omnibuses away from where we currently stand. Back when we only had 2 volumes of Avengers, people were like, let's just get some Stern. Now people have faith that the classic line is going to get that far.
Still a hunger for this one, even though it's been collected elsewhere quite a bit.
Many times.
Still they want it. Still they want it.
Oh, it's such a good. This is, this is when I got into the Avengers, and it's just such a good run. And this one always makes it. I don't even want to say top 20. I think this one always makes it in my top 10. My goodness, it did take a dive though. I hope you're right, Peter. I hope it's the reasoning is that we just got a Volume 5, and now they're pumping the brakes on that. Number 42, Avengers
Speaking of
Volume
which.
6. Yeah, more Avengers. Volume 5 came out in 2023. So, and that was number 27 in 2022 before it was announced. So here is you're doing 3 masterworks. Good.
The Avengers line has always obeyed that. I'm not putting my thumb on the scale. That is just what they have always done.
Korvac Saga is big in this one, isn't it? I think that's 150 to 188. So it's the new like Hellcat and Beast joining the team. Yeah, this would be good.
This is more my era of Avengers because, back in the day when you had no access, you would find yourself wandering to garage sales, hoping there was some comics there, sort of like a swamp beast, hoping there's some there. And one garage sale I went to, they had a lot of the Korvac Saga thrown in a box. Like, yay. So
Hey, wait a minute now. They should just call this set the Avengers Old White Dudes. There's 2 ladies.
Hey,
As a matter of
what
fact,
the hell?
There's at least 2 women. What are you saying?
That's ageism. That's racism. I will not stand for that. How dare you?
What
There's
was
a-
really interesting is in the Stern run, Stern absolutely makes light of that with the team that he has and with the conversations they have around who should be on the team. And if one of them is just a diversity hire, Stern,
Yes,
part of what
I love
makes
that.
Stern's run so great is it has a meta level of being like, wow, the Avengers are a little bit stale and white. I wonder if any of the members notice that. And, Wasp takes over as the chairman pretty early in that run, or actually between this run and the Stern run. So that is addressed in the book. The book is very self-aware about that.
And there's representation from red-skinned androids and blue furry mutants.
Hey.
Which who are based on the mental models of white guys.
Yes, well, quite.
I see 3 ladies on the team, and one of them is bald.
Oh my gosh.
And Frank quietly didn't draw that one. Alien versus Predator, the original years. I've seen a lot of people want this one. This is one that I also want too. So we've had 4 Aliens Omnis. We've had 2 Predator Omnis. The second one coming out. I'm pointing over here because it's over here. Sorry, people are like, "Why the hell is he pointing over there?" This one comes out in April, and it would be 2 Omnis to wrap up the rest of the Dark Horse era. So really, really cool to see it this high up on the list.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this one, will probably come.
I think so.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Just, they pumped out the Alien stuff. Predator took a little bit, but I've not seen any announcements on this one. And have you all read any of the stuff in here?
No, I haven't read any AVP actually. But AVP, if you notice the dates, this predates any inkling of this in the movies. Aliens versus Predator was invented in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Predator, in a way, Predator 2, that storyline was before, like, the comics were before the movie, or Alien 3, same thing, right? The comics had that story going before there was an Alien 3.
I struggle a little with Alien in comic form just because for me, Aliens is such a theatrical experience with, the visuals and the soundtrack and the...
Wait, really quick, this is a good question. While I have this book out, what's not in the omnibus? I cannot remember. People were asking me. Matt, do you know off the top of your head what they skipped on the Predator 2 Omni? It still has a parental advisory on it. I can look that up if somebody can keep an eye on Matt's comments. Oh, yes. Number 40, Silver Surfer by Steve Englehart, a.k.a. Volume 2. Race War. Is that one of them? I'll look while somebody talks about this one.
Well, all this time, the first Silver Surfer Omnibus, which collects the Stan Lee material, the 18 issues of that, has always been thought of as a volume 1. And the Epic collections kind of addressed that by continuing on from there, although they haven't collected that yet as a gap, on to volume 2 and throwing in some connecting material, which is in the notes box here. So this has been a perennial favorite on the poll. It's been around since the second annual poll, which means it's one of the longest running entries on the poll. And this would basically collect the whole first hunk of Silver Surfer, taking us possibly all the way through where the Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus picks up. Technically, Englehart only wrote through 31. Would it be easy to extend this to like 33 so that it would match up with Infinity Gauntlet on the other side? Yes, that's why we call it both by Steve Englehart and Volume 2, because if we pretend like the Stan Lee one is Volume 1, which it is numbered, this would be the next Silver Surfer Omnibus on the line.
That might be preferable. Trying to do a creator-based would get a little choppy. I think maybe you just call it, Silver Surfer. Englehart goes into Starlin, goes into Ron Mars. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I was looking at what this is. So it's Race War. That's what's missing.
James has something that he said was missing too.
Looking at Bleeding Cool, they removed Predator, Hell, Come a Walk in 1 and 2, and Dark Horse Presents 137. Thank you, buddy. I'm gonna Hell Come and wait. That was from the first book, though, right? Race Wars from the second one. Sorry, I just want to make sure they didn't add it. I'll let Peter talk about this one because he loves the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Fantastic Four #1, number 39.
Well, we would only need 2 omnibuses to collect this. We've seen the Ultimate Marvel line expand to include X-Men in omnibus form as well. And so this run only has 60 issues and 2 annuals. Would this book just collect exactly half of that, marrying to the oversized hardcovers? Possibly. Could it pull in some of those Ultimate line events, which the Fantastic Four were very present in? Possibly. Could it continue to Ultimate FF after Cataclysm? Possibly. So again, it's a title poll, not a mapping poll, and I think it's pretty obvious that this would collect at least half of Ultimate Fantastic Four 2004.
I agree. No Race War in this one, guys. Sorry. Ultimate. Wow. This one surprises me that it's up so high, considering Death of Ultimate Spider-Man just came out, and it's practically the same mapping. Again, this isn't a mapping video, as Peter has said. We just kind of guessed as to what would be in here. And yeah, there could be a lot of things they could add, like Ultimate Team Up, which was not collected in Omnibus format. It's been collected in OHC format. The only other thing that I think they could do, and I don't think they, I don't know if they're going to do this or not, is rebrand Miles Morales for a volume 6. Like, put some of the Miles Morales stuff in here.
Yeah.
And then the next volume will be volume 6, wrapping up Miles Morales in the Ultimate era. I don't know. I don't think they would do that just because those 2 books, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, has been rebranded to Miles Morales, Spider-Man instead of Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales. They rebranded them already. I can't imagine them doing it again. So that's why I was thinking, well, maybe they could put like Ultimate Team Up in here or something. And I'm pretty sure everybody else has ideas for this too. But that is your number 38 going into number 37, one of my personal favorites.
All right.
X-Men Legacy by Mike Carey. So you went in, let's see, this is, oh yeah, I'm not arguing with Peter about his mapping. Good job, Peter. Good job, Peter. On that
Well,
map.
I want to point out there were 2 different Mike Carey options on this poll. There was a legacy option, and there was an option that did not specifically say legacy because it's based on past votes. This one is on the poll because it's legacy, so it would start from legacy, 208. We all know that Mike Carey's run started in 188, back before it was called legacy. So if we look at Mike Carey's legacy, it ran from 208 to 260 and annual 1, but there were all these other issues it would need to include as well, one-shots as well as crossovers that have been in the trade collections. So this is a obviously 2-volume set. There's no way to just collect 208 to 260. You need this other stuff for it to make sense. Also, Christos Gage kept writing the title called X-Men Legacy from 260.1 to 275. A lot of that has been collected in the Avengers versus X-Men Omnibus because some of it was a companion to that event, but not all of it. So again, if this was going to go 2 volumes, could it extend, just be called X-Men Legacy, sans the name Mike Carey, and collect all the way to the end to include Gage's run as well? Possibly. But there's a title poll, and you all voted for So you all voted for X-Men Legacy by Mike Carey Volume 1, and that would start with his material. The first 30 issues of this begins with a hard focus on Professor Xavier for about 12 issues, including an Original Sin crossover. Then it pivots to focus more on Rogue, and by the time we got to 228 and the run up to Second Coming, it is pretty much a full-time Rogue-focused book.
This was such an underrated book. It's so good. Hickman was a huge fan of this run too, and it shows whenever he was writing his story in the X-Men Krakoa era. So yeah, I would totally put this with I would be okay with X-Men by Mike Carey. It would orphan some of those issues of X-Men Legacy by Christos Gage, because I think there's only 10 available in the AVX Omni, if I'm not mistaken. It's not all of them. But man, do I want this. All right. Another one from the Age of Krakoa, you X-heads. Crazy. X-Men Age of Krakoa by Kieran Gillen. Look at that cover.
Good cover choice.
Yeah, that is good.
A minimum of Immortal X-Men 1 through 18. And then I would throw in Immortal X-Men. X-Men Before the Fall and Sinister 4. And then Peter was nice enough to write down what else he could collect from Gillen's run. He wrote a lot.
Yeah. If you start chopping up Krakoa by creator, this is a good route to go, because Gillen does string out a lot of threads. I mean, you kind of do got to read a lot of it.
I dug his run.
Yeah, it was
good. It was good to see him back writing X-Men, because I really thought his Uncanny was solid, and me personally, I liked it miles more than I did the Matt Fraction run. I thought he understood the characters. And
the Fraction run started out really well and then kind of went downhill.
Okay.
I love the Fraction run, and I also love Kieran Gillen. I think he's the best X-Men writer. Period. Full stop.
Wait a minute now, Peter. Hold on a second. Did you say best X-Men writer?
I said best.
You mean today?
I mean since 1963.
That's impossible, because you're missing Chris Claremont's era from that.
Better.
Tigereyes, why don't you chime in on that? What do you think about that? Just out of curiosity.
Claremont's the Godfather, the architect, and then you can go from there.
Okay, you're playing middle ground here. I like that. Okay.
But I think part of why I like Kieran Gillen is he doesn't just play obvious favorites, although he has obvious favorites. He clearly loves Mr. Sinister, but when he gets handed a character who hasn't had a lot of great development, he will find a way to develop them. So a lot of people expected this would have a lot of his same favorites from his 2011, 2012 run, like Hope, and it does feature Hope, but he goes really deep on Mystique, Destiny, Jean, who he never had the chance to write before. There's a really nice little bit of stuff for Kate and Colossus, and some great Xavier stuff. And the last person to really focus a ton on Xavier other than Hickman was Mike Carey. So I think Gillen, I like him because he's just game to focus on anybody. And this Immortal run is very specific. It focuses on the Quiet Council as the Quiet Council exists after Hickman leaves and all the events of Inferno and the defection of Mora. And so it follows what the Quiet Council does to try to prevent the fall of Krakoa and how they ultimately fail, which kind of makes it unsatisfying to read on its own unless you include the other stuff by Gillen that comes at the end. But that might be in its own fault. X Omnibus, I don't know. It's a titles poll. Drink. So that means that this could be any or all of that, but it primarily would collect Immortal X-Men.
I had no idea that you love Gillen so much. That's really cool.
I do worship at the Gillen altar. They just announced a new Gillen and Hans book coming out later this year. Original graphic novel.
If you watched him organize my collection, you'd know that.
But he's a big Gillen fan. I knew he was a fan. I just didn't know that was his favorite. Warren, I need to make a note really quick.
Solidarity, Warren.
I'm going to do you a solid, Warren. I'm going to make you a moderator, and your first order of business as a moderator is to ban your damn self. Just stop with that nonsense. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Certainly, we go back quickly. With only like 87 X-Men comics to come out every month, I did find that Gillen's were the ones I went to first and tended to enjoy the most. Once Hickman's gone, Gillen sort of is the de facto main writer, and the stakes are really high in his stories. So this is a good route to go. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but yeah.
And those of you who love the Hickman stuff and are like, Hickman left and then it got stupid, Gillen is resolving the plots from Hickman's Powers of X every week right now in Rise of the Powers of X, like full on fulfillment, every little thing. So he's really, Gillen is one of those writers who comes in and keeps the promise with fire writers. He did it on JMS's Thor. Like that's one of the
a little behind the scenes too. Hickman did come in and help guide the exit of this, but he didn't want. I don't know if his name was still on the book or not, but yeah. Number 35.
Okay,
surprisingly
interesting.
So high up on the poll, but shows that the classics are still wanted. I mean, this would not be a big omnibus, but we've seen what the Planet of the Apes Omni was 10 issues. The the
Devil Dinosaur.
Moon Boy and
Devil
Devil
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur omnibus is what, 8 issues or 9 issues, I think. But this would be another small one, but it is Jack the King Kirby. It is the introduction of
Now, I didn't see how it resolved, but wasn't there some business lately that Marvel was informed that, or there was a challenge to their ownership of Machine Man?
Where'd you hear that news?
I'm struggling to recall.
Scuttlebutt in the Wizard magazine office.
So the Wizard magazine.
No.
I really don't know, man.
Okay.
I really don't know.
Okay. I can quietly.
All I know is that, unless I'm told, yeah, I remember reading about that. But yes, based on the 2001, of course.
Maybe that was nothing. I don't know how that turned out. Yeah.
No, it does have some to do with Kubrick's work, but also based on the book. And of course, doing their own thing. This is one of my most wanted gallery editions, honestly. It would be really cool.
Yes. That would
surprisingly
be
number 35, though. My goodness, that is impressive. That's so high.
Yeah, back in 2016, Tigereyes let us know the 10 that missed the poll without letting us know what order they were in. And so this was one of those 10. So it hasn't really appeared on the poll, but I still put it in there because we know it just missed in 2016. So there is some precedent, but I was shocked to see it make the poll this year. I think, again, Marvel printing things like Godzilla, Marvel getting the license for Micronauts and for ROM. People are now saying, this is our chance to get this 70s and 80s licensed material on our shelves once and for all when Marvel's out there with the money negotiating for these licenses. So let's put them on the poll. And spoilers, this is not the last entry you will see like this on the poll. Yeah. Spoilers for the next entry.
Yeah, I'm Googling it quickly. Possibly that challenge went nowhere, wasn't valid in the first place. It is an odd thing to be creating characters for a licensed book. I can see where there might be some shaking.
Oh, they never stop doing that, though.
Yeah, Marvel owns their version of the
Transformers and G.I. Joe, ROM or Micronauts. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Well, I guess to say it depends on how the contracts.
Shogun, Shogun Warriors with Red Ronin.
Yeah,
fighting Wolverine. Oh, I think I missed one. Speaking of licensed properties, number 34, Transformers: The Original Marvel.
Yes, that would be helpful.
Oh God, I love this run, and I know the word's gotten out already about Skybound and their compendiums and whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
I just want all of Transformers.
Sure.
In a nice omnibus format.
So I don't know.
In a proper reading order, including the Headmasters and the G.I. Joe crossovers.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it would be a dream, an absolute dream to hire James Roberts to map these. And I could help James Roberts. I'd be more than happy to map these to include the Marvel UK books in between issues with Marvel UK.
Okay.
So the Transformers UK. Oh man, I'll throw in Doctor Who just for you, Lars. The Death's Head issue, because that's the issue where Death's Head shrinks and becomes human size. So he's a big bounty hunter at first.
He uses weapon to shrink him.
I think it's very important to note that the series, was going on in the UK, and then when they caught up with reprints, they were like, we'll make our own comics, and they started doing their own storylines. And yeah, sure, some of it would be retconning, but later on, I mean, even Simon Furman coming over to America and taking over the book. Oh my gosh, that would be a dream. But I would take Transformers all day, every day. Look at that cover, but
so I don't know if the G.I. Joe Marvel years are on this list or not, but it was rather infuriating recently when they announced these compendiums, and then they basically try to spin it that, well, isn't it great that the G.I. Joe compendium will be in newsprint, for nostalgia reasons? It's like, no, that's terrible. No, put them on and
give it to us proper.
Yeah. So it would be really good to have these hardbound and really good paper, but
yeah, this is definitely one that speaks to my childhood. I love this series. It's hokey as hell. And we just recently lost MD Bright too, just 2 weeks ago. And he did that amazing cover for this series, issue number 5. Oh my gosh, it's so iconic.
That was a shocking cover when it came out.
I love this book. And just because it's coming out in Compendium does not mean that Marvel can't come in and do an omnibus format. Those are 2 different licenses. So I would be all for this.
Frankly, I wish they would do a compendium of the More Than Meets the Eye run. I mean, that would be really helpful too.
Oh my God. So good, Lars.
Yeah.
Tigereyes, Jess, were you fans of this stuff? Probably not. Maybe no.
Boring.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, it's not a Harley Quinn book.
Then I'd be awake.
Harley Quinn drives the Transformers effing insane.
It is.
30.
I would buy that.
Yeah, it's definitely a different groove if you were trying to read this with G.I. Joe at the time. I mean, the level of adulthood and seriousness brought to G.I. Joe was way.
Well, Joe's characters were getting killed. I'm not going to spoil anything, but when characters died in that one pit, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Larry Hama, what the hell?
Now, I have read this. I like this.
Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, 33. I saw a comment. I think when we were announcing these books, somebody said, why do we need this if we have Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman? Because this is still a fun book, too. Yeah. They made a doll of the character?
It is an action figure. How dare you?
Doll.
The U.S. Supreme Court has decided on the difference between doll and action figure, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a Circuit Court of Appeals, but pretty high.
Does that mean you could take me to court and I could be arrested?
Yes.
No, it has to do with the tariffs on each kind of toy.
I know I'm imagining oral arguments before the Supreme Court where they have to hold them up and kind of show the difference and make them dance. And like, this is Amigo, Your Honors. And, there we go. Yes.
I will say that so many people on the stream were like, you missed this one. You missed this one. Because I think they were just looking for Renew Your Vows without Amazing Spider-Man. But the title was Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. So apparently they found it on the poll. I was shocked that this made it so high. This is a standalone alternate universe book. It is not part of Ultimate. It is not part of 2099. It is just its own little pocket. And it's not Spider-Girl, which is, of course, popular on its own. And it still made the poll for the first time. I think it really shows that people are hungry for not just like in-universe Spider-Man stories, but Spider-Man stories that show family, that show a next generation, that show them getting older. And I think Spider-Verse, the movie, only emphasized that. So I think I've actually never read this. Now I kind of just thought it was like some like trashy side book just to like sell more Spider-Man. Now that I see it on the poll, I'm like, well, people must really love it. If it almost made the top 30, maybe it's time to read it. I mean, Jeff loved it more frequently, but now everybody else has told me Jeff may be right in this instance.
Jeff may be right. Can that be a shirt, please?
He may be right.
Nice choice for the
He may be crazy.
All true.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is all said and done too. And much like Spider-Girl, I hope that this gets made into an omnibus.
And I had no idea it was this long. I was like, you morons. It's like 6 issues. Then I like did my research. I was like,
you called me a moron? Wait, I didn't choose that one.
So for those of you who are saying Brand New Day, here it is. And here is the proof that it probably is too big to also include the Gauntlet.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Previous rankings, Volume 1 was number 6 in the 2021 prior to its announcements. And that one has been announced. And yeah, this would lead into the Gauntlet. So I hope they kind of go that route. Now I can't get that out of my head. Coming in at number 32 with that Joe Quesada cover.
I love that cover.
Ups and downs for this. I will say that. Especially throwing in the Jackpot miniseries. Oh my God. That could disappear from my life.
Well, again, so this primarily could include just things that Marvel has mapped in trades called Brand New Day, but that actually leaves off. And then there's another kind of like recollection trade of New Ways to Live. So it probably makes sense that this would also include that. But just based on title, people want the second half of Brand New Day. And that, whatever that contains, that is a very popular vote.
I'd pass on One More Day. I'd rather get Big Time. Okay, I think most people probably would. I think I've answered this before. I don't know if it was Mr. Least or not. How about a Dark Reign event Omni? Dark Reign was an era. It wasn't really an event.
Yeah.
So it was like under the Dark Reign umbrella, kind of like the Heroic Age. They did have
but
a Dark
map
Reign
it and include it.
Yeah, we did. We did have like a Dark Reign the list. So that's why we added it, because there were people that wanted it. I think a couple people actually voted for that one. Not the actual book, but I mean, suggested that book rather. The Black Costume Saga Aftermath. We were trying to think of a way to include like man, stories in here from like Craven's Last Hunt, but that leads in the Spider-Man 300. So Black Costume Saga Aftermath is what we went with, and it made it to number 31.
Aftermath and prequel omnibuses tend to involve a heady amount of double dipping, but you know, if people want it, they want it.
Ooh, I've got some hate. Thank you, Brian, for hating me. It's really nice of you.
That's my job. Come on.
Do you
You've
lap
got
it up
competition.
You drink it like a black oil.
Made him want to throw up in his mouth. Wow. Thank you.
The Alien Costume Saga. Thank you for that correction, James, because they did change it at the last minute. It's not the black costume; it's the alien costume.
I will change it.
Well, no, did they change it to the black costume?
I thought they went the other way. I thought they changed
you're right.
it to black.
Well, right before I announced it, they emailed me going, "Can you change it to the Black Costume Saga instead of the Alien Costume?"
Is it an alien? Spoilers. Good grief.
Lars.
Giving away. Oh,
number 30, Hulk by Bruce
interesting.
Jones. One of my most wanted every year. Collecting that run that fits right after the John Byrne and Paul Jenkins run, and right before the oh my gosh, is it Tempest Fugitive? I think that comes in the Peter David return, and then the Greg Pak era.
I remember people being down on this run for quite a long time. So
me too. People didn't dig it when it was coming out because
has there been a re-examination of it, or is this just completism?
I think there's been a re-examination. I remember talking to Zach Raberoff about this, and he's like, people missed out on an era that has a really fun, interesting, different take on Hulk that probably a lot of people would appreciate if they like Immortal Hulk. So perhaps that's why this has come back into vogue now.
Yes.
I feel like Omar's told me how great a run this is.
It's not for everybody, I will say, because it has a lot of horror elements.
Yeah.
It's Bruce Jones, right? I mean, he used to write stories for like Eerie magazine and Creepy magazine. It's got this formula like The Hitchhiker. Do y'all remember that show?
Yeah.
That it's like episodic, so it focuses on like the people that he's around for a while. There's a really weird and interesting return of a character. I'm not going to spoil who it is. That still doesn't sit well with me after all. It's been over. Oh my God. When was this? 2003? Yeah, it's been 2 decades and it still doesn't sit well.
But it's still too soon.
Was it Gwen Stacy?
20 years ago. It's still too soon. Throwing some love out there. This is so fun. Thank you so much, Kevin Barry. Yeah. Can't stand Immortal Hulk.
Now
me neither, Warren. I think
Oh my God.
Warren is actually my sock puppet account. I just type out
I think
controversial opinions.
This must make me snap.
Sock puppet account.
No X-Men by Austin Omni yet. Let's go. Yet. I'm curious how many votes that one got. DeMatteis Spectacular would need to bridge to the Clone Saga. He has some materials afterwards. They're fine to content. That is true. No one believes Warren read Immortal Hulk. We can't even spell it. He said Immortal Hulk.
I do love the Immortal Hulk might have been more interesting.
Warren's from Kentucky, so we got that good old Kentucky education, boy. Because I also grew up here, so I know all about it. Where's my Len Kaminsky Iron Man Omni? Did you vote for it, Dan? You should have called your mom and dad and all your friends to vote for it. Number 29. Happy to see this one up that high, but the classic Marvel team up, number 1. The second ongoing Spider-Man title officially. It's where Spidey teamed up with whomever Marvel wanted to boost sales for it.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I remember reading these in singles. I dug these.
These have been collected in Marvel Masterworks. Surprisingly, no epics of this. We have 2 Marvel 2-in-1 epics, but no Marvel team-up epics. Must get this one now.
I think these epics. I'm sorry. I think these Masterworks are out of print and maybe a little pricey.
I think so. I haven't checked in a while, but
I think this needs to be an omnibus.
The great thing about this series, if you've never read it, is as a spider title, it's like it's really tends to be about the guest stars, and for a lot of them, because this was in the era before Marvel Comics Presents and Fanfare, it was like if they didn't get a tryout book in something like Marvel Spotlight or Marvel Premiere or any of those other vaguely titled Marvel anthology books, this was their chance to get a solo turn. So there's a lot of characters, especially women, who got their first featured story in this book alongside Spider-Man that had never had a solo story before. So it actually, I don't think of it as a Spider-Man book. I know it's a Spider-Man book. I think of it as an anthology book that lets us visit all of these cool 70s characters who couldn't get their own title.
There were some really cool things that were established during this era too, especially when like Mark Grunwald came on and kind of started doing his own thing. And even though it's kind of episodic, like Spider-Man and the Human Torch, Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, you know, it's a continuing story at times too. Like you got to keep reading the issues because Spider-Man just keeps teaming up. I love the loopholes they use. Like, for example, like, oh, Spider-Man and the Thing, and now Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic, and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. So it could be like a 3-part story that features the Fantastic Four.
Also, I'm obsessed with that cover. I just think it's just so cool.
It's a good choice.
And giant purple hand reaching for the Human Torch. Love it.
You people are crazy. Remember, Peter, me and you had a discussion about this one because you were like, I don't want to add that. And I'm like, dude, but do you know what happened when Marvel said they were coming out with a prelude to the massacre? This is the book that people want because they got the events. If we don't add this, people are going to yell at us. And we added it. And it made it to the top 28 with the heaviest double dip yet.
Yes.
I mean, with the exception of those issues of New Mutants, which have not been collected in omnibus format. But wow, this would have, the Judgment War stuff. This is crazy.
So let's
talk about this to get it. And X Factor and New Mutants and X-Men, of course. Because this would mainly just be X Factor and New Mutants.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. I thought it was moronic, but then Omar kind of brought me around. So this used to get voted for because people thought that we needed more of the line-wide omnibuses, and that would continue. Then we got the X Factor omnibus announced, and it was like, oh, I guess X Factor will get its own line. Plus, New Mutants got a volume 3, so people said, oh, I guess New Mutants will get collected past Chris Claremont. So that's why the priority has dropped a little bit. But there's 2 different ways this can go, right? This could just collect all the missing New Mutants and X Factor that comes after Inferno, and basically be a X-Men by Claremont and Lee companion omnibus. And it would be the perfect size for that. Or this could continue the line-wide omnibuses that have started from the Prelude to Mutant Massacre, so that if you want an all-in-one X-Men omnibus line, you could just keep buying all of the event books. So it could, calling it Inferno Aftermath does not prescribe the map. It could go several different ways, but any of those ways probably would include X Factor 41 to 59.
It's just insane.
Well, I would start to worry about how much of this is actually contingent on Inferno and is just what comes next.
Well, no, but that doesn't matter because even like Prelude to the Massacre means absolutely nothing.
Yes, and I think that's arbitrary and ridiculous, you know.
But I think it's just a title.
Well, possibly, possibly the word is X-Men before Legion of Superheroes before the Great Darkness, which it just has nothing to do with the Great Darkness.
I'm just super, super surprised that, we fought for, I was like, first of all, I was fighting for this book because I knew so many people would be pissed off if we didn't add it to the list.
Oh, sure.
And it ended so high because when I fought for it, I'm like, okay, don't even worry about it. This thing's not even going to break it in the top 100. Man, you X-heads are crazy.
God, you're one of them.
I am one of them. I would own this book on my stupid shelf right up there with X Factor and New Mutants. I love it, man. This is insanity. And I'm all here for it. By the way, don't forget to smash that like button, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. I want Tigereyes' opinion on this. Tigereyes, this has been in the poll before.
I remember last year, the mapping is just so bizarre to me. I felt like I don't think it was similar to yours, Peter, but it was a lot of like Marvel Comics Presents, I feel like, was in there.
There's some of that.
There was it felt like more backup issues and more odds and ends than actual single issues. That's what I remember from the poll.
Ooh, Yep, I'm in. That's crazy, and I'm in for the madness. Number 27, Amazing Spider-Man Identity Crisis is what we decided to call this era. But this picks up right after the Clone Saga and Ben Reilly Omnis and ends with Spider-Man 419. So before the, oh my gosh, the new, what is that era called? New Age, New Year, Peter, John Byrne and Howard Mackie. What is that era called?
Next chapter.
Next chapter. That's it. Yeah. Not first chapter. Next chapter.
So this is, I will apologize. This is one of our biggest goofs in titling a book on the poll because Identity Crisis happens actually pretty late in this period. And what a lot of people wanted was just post-clone, post-Ben Reilly. We probably should have called it like Clone Aftermath to make it a little bit more clear. So, but people still voted for it. And so I was like really upset and distraught as we were working on the results, thinking like, oh man, if we mess up on a name of something this important, people aren't going to vote for it. And then they're going to be so sad when it's not there, but you found it. So the big question with this is to get to Identity Crisis, it would only be able to collect ASM, or it could be 2 volumes, not quite make it to Identity Crisis, but it can collect the whole line just the way that the Clone and the Ben Reilly books do. So a lot of the questions in this part of the poll is this line wide or is this book specific? And you will hear us talk about this again and again as we get into these top results because the maps are contentious.
Does the Atom and Elongated Man make it into this? What the hell?
No, but it's actually better than that crappy story.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Peter,
anything is.
Peter, don't worry. We screw up so often that another one isn't going to matter.
Wait, what is this Wii stuff? You got a mouse in your pocket, Lars? What is this Wii stuff? All right, let's get going with number 26, The Exiles. One. Oh, yeah. Judd Winnick kicking off this series. I love this stuff. Mike McComb drawing a lot of the issues in here. And the concept is Quantum Leap meets X-Men.
Yeah.
They have to right all the wrongs, a group of 6, and don't get attached to any of them because I think in issue 2, one of them dies and they just keep dropping like flies. New characters come in and replace them from different universes. If you're an X-Men fan, this, oh my gosh, this is a dream come true. I love this book. Even after Winnick left, I think it was Tony Bedard and then Chris Claremont took over the book. It's just fun alternate realities. And I know how much my buddy Peter loves alternate realities like Age of Apocalypse.
He's typing right now. So
what did you think of this book, Peter? That's not Beta Ray Bill. It's not Beta Ray Bill. You're right. I don't want to spoil who it is, though. Go ahead, Peter.
I think it's important to note that some people would want 2 volumes just to collect to issue 100. But as you look more closely at it, Claremont takes over with issue 90, and then his final 11 issues continue directly into his New Exiles. So there's probably, in reality, 3 omnibuses, 2 for everything up to Claremont, and then a final one by Claremont. But a first omnibus doesn't have to worry about that. It just has to collect a big old hunk of issues between 40 and 50 issues.
Almost all the Ultimate collections are badly out of print and expensive.
So and no epics or anything.
Yeah, this needs to be collected.
Marvel has drug its feet on keeping this in print. And I don't know if it's because it doesn't sell great or because there's other X-Men stuff higher in the food chain. There was a lot of great stories in here. I remember chugging through the trades quite a bit.
I love these, man. Yeah. Maybe it's because they called it Exiles with an E instead of an X, and they're like, oh, now people are confused. I love this reference to the Real World season. Where was it? Judd Winnick was season 3.
Yeah,
right. Judd Winnick and Puck were season 3 of the Real World.
Yeah. No, this was good. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because this version of the X-Men of X characters hasn't really resonated anywhere else. Blink has been in the movies and stuff, but still.
Morph is right there.
Yeah, and Morph is there. Yes, Morph is there. No, I really enjoyed this. I hope they do collect it.
And some of these characters do come from the Age of Apocalypse. Some of them come and look like, they look like their Age of Apocalypse or 616 counterparts, but they come from different universes. I love this.
I just want to speak up for Morph as being the best part of X-Men 97. He is hilarious in X-Men 97.
And he wants Wolverine so bad.
Oh my God. I remember seeing people so pissed that I'm like, did everybody miss the first episode where Wolverine's like, this one's for you, more of the original series? Come on. Tigereyes, what did you think of the series, buddy?
I feel like you're gonna hang up on me. I never read it.
You never read? No, I'm not. You can buy
Oh,
the
that's fine.
omnibus. You can buy the omnibus, and you make me happy that way.
All right.
Number 25, Spider-Man by Michelini and Bagley, Volume 2. You spider heads are as crazy as us
Yeah.
X-heads.
Spider and
Because-
Xyz. Yep.
Yeah. Volume 1 was announced, and probably a Volume 2 is coming, but you just want to show Marvel you really wanted all of Maximum Carnage, huh?
Right.
I mean,
It's never been an omnibus, has it?
it's been in the Spider-Man
Like-
versus Venom omnibus.
In
Oh, that's
full?
pretty.
The full
yeah,
thing.
maybe.
Yeah. So
12 issues? Is it?
I'm honestly surprised they didn't put that in when it was reprinted and rebranded as Ven Omnibus Volume 0.
Just
but-
make sure you buy Ven Omnibus Volume 2, the best one.
It's out of print. It goes for a lot of money.
Oh, even better.
Wow. Spider-Man by Michelini, Bagley 2. This was Volume 1 was in number 8 in 2023. So yeah, a lot more Spidey and back.
And back to X-Men.
Oh,
Number 24. I'm gonna let somebody else announce it because it hurts to even say that.
Oh
stupid
my god.
Two of the worst things that happened to X-Men in one title. Go ahead. What is this, Peter?
This is X-Men Onslaught Aftermath. It would pick up directly after the Onslaught Omnibus. Why is this appearing on the poll this year? Because almost in the same place last year was the Road to Onslaught Omnibus at number 25, and that's been announced. So there's a definite trend you're going to see in the top 30 here of people immediately moving their high priority votes to the next book in the sequence for some of these books that were hotly demanded. So this would follow up with the next portion of Uncanny X-Men and X-Men 1991. Generally, Marvel does not like to go too big on these books because they know that they will sell, as we've seen with the Road to Onslaught being split into 2. So this would probably collect about a year each of Uncanny X-Men and X-Men 1991, which would take us right through the end of the Trial of Gambit story that primarily occurred in Uncanny X-Men.
All of that.
We could argue about this map all day. There's other stuff
I'm
that
not
could fit
here
in
to argue
here.
about
I get
the
it,
map.
but we're just talking about the minimum amount of things that this title could suggest. And that would be Uncanny X-Men 338 to 350.
Now, I know everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Even if they're wrong.
And people love this stuff, right? Oh my god, this was such a horrible retcon. I hated this.
Well, yeah.
I hated issue 350. Not even Joe Mad's beautiful artwork could
Yeah.
save issue 350 for me.
Yeah.
But I am going to go ahead and make space for it because I'm Are you out of your damn mind? I'm an X-Man fan.
Yeah.
We
Kept
through
me away
X-Men.
from this for years.
From
I'll buy
memory.
that stupid cover even though I hate that issue. I love I love
Oh,
Joe
no.
Mad.
From memory, this is a phase where like Gambit starts out as kind of a morally ambiguous character, and then they just decide, okay, we'll make him even darker. Okay, we'll make him even darker. Oh, now he's committed this sin. Oh, he's committed this sin. I do recall this reaching the crescendo of like, why is this jackass still on the team? If he keeps doing all these terrible, terrible things, boot his ass off, but he's still around. Whereas nowadays, I think he's a great character.
Now I'm waiting for Tigereyes to say this is my most wanted Omni of all time.
I don't have a problem with this run. I like it. Other than honestly,
Okay.
the worst. Do you remember Spat and Grovel? Those are terrible characters.
Oh gosh.
Do you
Oh
know
my
how
God.
close I came to using the maggot cover for this? And I was like, no, I'm not going to troll that hard.
Right. Right.
There are 5 maggot fans, okay, and they bought up the Marvel Legends figure. Number 23, back to the
Okay.
classic, Spectacular
Okay.
Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 2. You all get ready for that double dip, though, because we have Roger Stern's Omni, and that's going to dip into that.
Yeah.
But people don't care. They want these things in chronological order, and I get it. No Inhumans. Now, again, I'm going to stress that this is your all's votes.
I voted
if-
nothing but Inhumans, just so
I
you
voted
know.
Inhumans.
All Inhumans.
We
My
worked
map
hard
is
on our
perfect.
map to Inhumans, so I know who voted for what. But I'm going to stress again that if you don't see a book you wanted in here, go yell at everybody in the chat, not us.
Cat.
That's
What the
called
hell?
pressing
All
luck.
1,600 of them. Yeah.
But yeah, Spectacular Spidey Volume 2 continuing from the first volume and going into the Roger Stern run. But it does contain more than just the Roger Stern run. But this would definitely double dip a lot with that. Wow. I didn't realize this one was
yeah.
going to be so high.
Lots of
But
people.
Indiana Jones, the
talk about
original Marvel years, people ask me about this one. What are the,
Okay.
what are the chances this gets made? I mean, I don't know why not, honestly.
Yeah,
Why
no
not?
kidding. You'd
Yeah.
think it would sell pretty decently.
But it could be a Lucas thing because they, I will say a little behind the scenes. When you see a cover change sometimes for a Star Wars Omni, usually it's because they got a note from like Lucas Art. So they still have something. I don't know what it is.
It's possible, but there's no impediment to other Lucasfilm properties, so I don't know why they haven't done this one.
What's up, Kingsport Cow? How you doing, baby? Yeah, I can't believe it made it to 22. I'll be honest with you, because there's always one guy, and if you're watching, there's one guy that every announcement I make, it's always like, I'm happy for everybody, but I'm just here for Indiana Jones.
Right.
And I wish I could remember your name, but I hope you're happy that it made it this far. Top 22.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
Well, it's just wild to think that some of these licensed properties, these are 40-year-old books at this point, so they have like a vintage to them.
Thank you for driving the knife deeper. Yeah.
Well, I trust me, I personally too. But that they have a vintage to them that not only older fans want to finally see brought back for nostalgia factors, but newer fans are like, wait, there's a 40-year-old Indiana Jones comic book, a 40-year-old Transformers comic book, and they want to see it brought back to light. So time comes for us all. And this is now classic material, just as classic as the 60s material was to all of us, 20 years ago.
Yikes.
Well, there's not a big devotion to indie, like even new indie comics. So that might be there's just the devotion to the property just isn't there in comic form.
Can you send your Marvel content? Top 22? I'm pretty sure that
I'm going to make him send the top 21, and you're going to see why in a minute. You absolutely. I honestly, I could have ranked this next one higher, and it missed the top 20 by 1 vote. So I will take.
Oh, I know what it is.
An unusual show of integrity for you.
Can we call Curtis in to announce this one?
It's my fault. I take the blame. I'm the reason it is number 20.
Missed it by 1.
Oh,
How did
I
you guys
love
not
Gen
know
X.
this? Well, you shouldn't have
actually
wasted your
read
vote
this
on
stuff.
Inhumans, Jess. Generation X, Volume 1.
I love Gen X. I've read these epics. They're great.
These have been, let's see. So it made it in the poll in 2014, 2023, 2022, and 2021. Almost in the top 20. Oh, this
again,
last
it missed
year
it
was
by
2021.
2 years in a row.
Wow. Yeah, fun series. Chris Baccello, sorry, and Scott Lobdell kicking off this series. I love when they redesign the characters. Like Chris Baccello does this new art style after Age of Apocalypse, where he's like, I'm tired of drawing skin really ugly, like a mummy. I'm going to draw him with that long nose, like the character that I created in the Age of Apocalypse version, because that's a lot more fun to draw. Yeah, this is a fun series. It didn't stay fun the whole time, but that's, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Later, but this would be worth doing, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting discussion on Twitter this week about everybody tends to think that Emma Frost came into her own or became a hero in Morrison's run, clearly a topic of discussion because of X-Men 97 this week. But this is where Emma really gets her development. This is where she becomes a full character. This is where her family is addressed. This is where she really has her hero turn. And in a way, Morrison kind of turns back the clock on it a little bit in New X-Men, just to have Emma have the effect that they really wanted Emma to have. So if you're a big Emma Frost fan, this is where it's at.
Yeah, baby.
Here's the thing, too.
And you might recall that dreadful Gen X TV pilot.
Oh yeah,
I believe Emma Frost was in that one.
Max Headroom was in that movie. That movie was awesome.
That was bad.
Really quickly, the scans for the Epic collections and any other collections they've had of this early material are not the best scans. People are saying that. I would love for them to touch it up for the omnibus format. I don't think they will, just because I've seen the way that Wolverine has been released. They're using the same scans that they did for the Epic collection, and it's that time when they started using those the computer separated colors that they started using at Marvel and that new paper stock they introduced. So I don't know if they will or not. It's in the top 21. Well, I will see. Maybe I'll replace one of the top 20 with Gen X.
Nice.
It'll be this one. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Number 20. Now, before we talk about this book, I do want to say, if and when these books come out and you live in Europe, check out waltzcomicshop.com. They have books up to 50% off and the biggest discounts prices in the EU. Flat shipping rate of 12 euros for all EU countries. And if you tell them, if you at the checkout put near mint condition, all one word, you get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over 40 euros or more. That's waltzcomicshop.com. Your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ting. Let the show go on. Number 20, Invincible Iron Man by Matt Fraction.
Yeah.
This is one that I'm not surprised made it to the top 20. It's one that a lot of people have been asking me if there's a chance of this happening. Thank you all so much for adding the ting to that. Yes, that is correct.
This is
wife,
so weirdly and poorly formatted in
Yeah.
I would love to have...
There were two OHCs released, and then they dropped the OHC format. There were standard hardcover editions, and then there were trade paperbacks of this.
Yeah,
and even better, the OHCs in some sources from Marvel are called omnibuses, and in other sources from Marvel aren't called omnibuses.
That is so
what's
true.
The truth, Marvel.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I think it's it's almost like a no-brainer when people ask, why are there not enough Iron Man omnis? You can go with the classics and continue that line, of course. But I think this is one of the most modern runs that get asked about so often. I know I get asked about it all the time, and I really don't have an answer why it hasn't been collected in an omnibus format. It's got that. This is, I think, when Salvador La Roca started doing the light box type of art too. So it's got a little bit of that going. Like, he does it a lot in the Star Wars books, but he started doing it here. He starts distancing himself from the old school Salvador La Roca artwork, but this is when he started using it. But yeah, it made it to the top 20 this year. Yeah. Any other
Same
thoughts?
rank as last year. Interesting fact, it used to be volume 3 that used to rank high in the poll, and Tigereyes will recall this, because we always used to think that the first two OHCs were volumes 1 and volumes 2. Then when it became clear that they weren't going to continue, starting on the 6th annual poll in 2018, people stopped voting for volume 3 and started voting for volume 1 because they realized to get the rest of the material, we need to re-omnibize those two hardcovers. Really interesting comment on how the trends of Marvel's collections have changed over the years, because it used to be that Marvel would never go back and recollect stuff like that until we started seeing them kind of revise and expand omnibuses like Squadron Supreme, like Captain Britain. So now it feels like everything's fair game. People will vote for anything, even if it double dips a previous big book, because they know Marvel's willing to go back and make better maps.
Can you add Extremis with this? I don't think so, because, well, Extremis happens
3 years prior,
long before this.
Yeah, a whole run
long, like. But you could do the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., that particular era, which is one of my most wanted omnis. Yep.
I am one of these people who didn't finish this one because the formatting got so weird. And but nowadays I would just read it all in unlimited. But back then I was just like,
yes, that's what I'm here for. Re-omnibize, not just omnibizing. Ooh, we could start the re-omnibize project, Peter. Number 19.
There we go. There we go.
I love it. You people still want to. You don't care about compendiums.
Yep.
You're like, give me that, baby. Oh, look at I got a. I don't.
Whoa. This is the coolest thing that I own. It is a omnibus.
I'm so jealous.
I can't even open it on camera. It's so big and so heavy. Of all of the toys and the artwork from all of the toys and all of the cards.
Was this a Kickstarter?
It was a Kickstarter, but you can just buy it. And when I tell you this is so heavy, I can barely hold it up.
Please don't drop it. Please don't drop it.
It is. Oh, I would die. It's the cost of shipping it to New Zealand is so ridiculous, but it is also the coolest thing that I own.
Again, this is one cool. That Skybound. This is the one that they stated.
Yeah, they're going to, as we discussed, they're going to do it, but on crappy paper. And I'm like, come on.
Well, we still don't have the book. You know, they could be talking about the new newsprint they're using, or I don't know. I don't have a physical copy of it, and they have plans.
No, we don't. Granted, but
but to have it in an omnibus format, to have it completely, oh my god, with S.H.I.E.L.D. and oh, dude, this stuff in here,
yep,
so good. Oh my gosh, and it would be so amazing if Marvel's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and get the IDW stuff too when he continued the series.
I think there was some.
Yeah, I mean, Real Americans passed 300, 350 now, and it's still
Yeah,
right around.
301 is what kicked it off in the Skybound era.
Yeah.
I
So-
looked, and he skips like 3 or 4 issues in these that are written by Phil, and I think Herb Trimpe actually writes one of them as a fill-in
Yeah.
writer, but Hama wrote 99.5%
Oh, absolutely.
of this.
Yeah. I seem to recall some marketing that kind of referenced the series as the comic of the 80s. And even though like it's not the comic of the 80s, it's not. It's pretty high up the food chain. It really, I mean, it's up there.
Yeah, it's not like the cartoon. There's some high stakes with this one.
Yeah.
You're not shooting lasers. Planes aren't blowing up and people are jumping out at the last second. Planes are blowing up and people are burning inside of them. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that Larry Hama was able to do. Because I think, I think at one point they told him to tone down a little bit of the dying or the killing.
Well, probably. I mean, yeah, it's a compelling run by a Vietnam vet. By the way, fun fact, my high school art teacher was a Vietnam vet, and he created the iconic character Farmbo, who was basically Rambo, but with a pitchfork.
Is there an omnibus of that?
No, tragically. But there should be.
I'm so glad Lars is here for that.
Now I'm Googling Farmbo, and I'm not getting the results that Lars was expecting. Number 18, of course, you nutheads, Agent Venom, aka Agent Omnibus, aka Venom by Remender and Bunn. With great choice for the cover, by the way, by Tony Moore, fellow Kentuckian, and Walking Dead fame, and whatever. Anyway, after McFarlane, though. Great cover. So this would be, volume 4, after all the stuff that Daniel Way and all those cats did. I'm not surprised this one ranks so high. Not as high as 2023 though. Number 12 in 2023.
I think
Peter,
I did a lot of math here, and if you just do the Remender, it's about 700 pages, which in a modern omnibus, Marvel usually doesn't go super large. Could you put the Bunn stuff in here too? Actually, yes. It's another 536 pages. This would come out 1,200. That's eminently doable. Would Marvel prefer to sell you 2 books? Probably. So we put Remender and Bunn in the title. You'll notice we did not put volume 1. This is a vote to just get it started, Marvel. And then if it turns into 2 volumes, it turns into 2 volumes.
It's a different take on the character of Venom and the symbiote. It does take place after the Marvel Knights by Mark Miller and Terry Dodson. I'm not going to spoil who is behind the symbiote costume, but it is not Eddie Brock.
Nice.
And the story actually really makes sense. And there's some really good stories in here. I think this, for me, is when Venom became a lot more interesting than he was. No offense to people that love Venom. I just thought the 90s series of Venom miniseries just kind of did the same thing over and over again. But this one is cool. This one's awesome. It's not just Venom with a lot of guns.
It's really a great read, both halves of it.
Fudge, I almost dropped the F-bomb on this channel. Sorry about that, kids.
And it's moving up, baby, from number 40 to number 17.
Okay. That's the power of influence and the youth. Spider-Girl, Volume 1. This is such a great series. Oh my gosh. I don't care if it's an alternate reality. Mayday Parker. Oh my goodness, this is so fun. Tom DeFalco, Patrick O'Leaf, and Ron Friends working on this book. And it's just such a fun title. It starts off with a What If comic, of course, with is that a spoiler? There is something that happened in the 90s that a lot of people didn't agree with, and this was Marvel's way of like, look, we're not doing it in the 616 universe, but we're going to the M2 universe, and so some of y'all can be happy. It's great. It's a good book. It's not just, somebody said another Spider-Person book, but it's so much more than that. It's so, like, it goes back to the classic, like, Silver Age books. My daughter has read the little digest size stuff, and she really enjoyed this too. I love it. I'm glad it made it this high. Have you all read this stuff? I think, Peter, you have, or Lars?
No, I never have.
You've never read Spider-Girl? Jess, what about you, buddy?
I have it. Just haven't started it. I have it in the trade paperbacks that are now going to get modern Marvel Epic. So, yeah, no, I just haven't started it, but I've heard it's absolutely wonderful.
It's a lot of fun. And what about you, Tiger? You read it?
This actually made my top 10, even though I've never read it. only one that I've never read that made my top 10. So I've heard nothing but positive things about it.
I'm loving this live stream. What time is this live stream scheduled to finish? Long enough for me to eat dinner and join a Patreon book club. So we're in 17. We got 16
Yeah.
more.
But
more.
I mean, she being his daughter, this is just proof that his sperm was not deadly to MJ. So.
Oh my gosh, you just had to bring up Spider-Man Reign again.
I'm just saying this is a more positive spin on that story.
I'll just say I am shocked that this moved up because by the time the poll started, we already knew this is going to be in the epic line. And a lot of times when something gets announced for Masterworks or epics, the ranking on the poll goes down because people are like, oh, we're going to finally get it. But no, it being an epic collection just made it go up in the poll, which is actually pretty rare in poll history to see an alternate format line start and then the omnibus goes higher.
Now, if you wanted to read this, I would still suggest getting the epic collection because just because I'm sharing this list with Marvel does not 100% mean that
yeah, these aren't announcements.
No.
Yeah, they're going to finish the epic collection first, y'all. Don't get delusional like Omar.
Wait, what do you mean? Don't get delusional like
Get
me?
delusional in a different way. Yeah.
Look at you, crazy bastards! I love this. Doctor Strange Volume 3. This one should super surprise me that it made it on the poll so high because I didn't think there was enough interest in the character and I hate to say this, something this old, but fudge, yes, awesome. I'm so happy to see this up so high. So continuing Doctor Strange, my buddy Larry. Where you at, Larry? Larry, you still watching? He suggested calling it the Sorcerer Supreme. Or no, he suggested calling it the Master of the Mystic Arts. Something like that, right? Yep. So happy to see that this is up on the poll so high.
Now there's, some mapping drama, especially for the Doctor Strange line in Omnibus, because the first two omnibuses are so short. There's some of the shortest Silver Age omnibuses. Yeah. They do not collect 3 Masterworks each. They collect like 2 1/4 Masterworks each. So some people are like, oh, great, this third one will finally start being 3 Masterworks each. But wait, this one could wind up short too, because they might cut it off before the Roger Stern run so that they could call Volume 4 alternately by Roger Stern, which is a hotly demanded and highly requested book. Or this, if it did follow the Masterworks mapping, would take us into Roger Stern, and then the next omnibus would continue Roger Stern. It feels like Doctor Strange will always be a mapping shenanigans line for Marvel, so I want to see this printed just out of professional curiosity of what they decide to put in it.
I just want to stress this. So Kitty Pride is the best X-Man is screaming at everybody in the chat. So far, the top 20 has disappointed me and disappointed in all of you. So way to waste your votes on Amazing Spider-Man big time by slot people.
Okay.
Number 58 last year, number 54 the year in 2021, and number 39 in 2019. This one is high. My gosh.
Yeah.
This is the Dan Slott era. So this one, Dan Slott starts rolling solo, and this is the run where it leads, like issue 700 leads into the Superior Spider-Man. And he continues with Spider-Man, writing him for a few years. 10 years, I think, in total.
It makes sense, though.
And still writing some of the characters, like Spider-Boy and Symbiote Spider-Man. Yep. This one, I honestly am surprised this one is also so high.
Really?
Because we've got like the Joe Kelly omnibus coming, we've got Brand New Day coming, and we have Superior Spider-Man, which I think that one, Tigereyes, was voted a lot, like really high before in the past, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This one made an impact, though. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Any more thoughts on Spider-Man Big Time?
It'll be interesting to see what it would collect. Would it collect all of Spider Island or just the Spider-Man parts? Would it collect other stuff from this period, like Avenging Spider-Man, that wasn't entirely by Dan Slott? Because the actual Dan Slott material is not super long. If we get to a volume 2, because there's 62 Dan Slott issues in total, so like there is an opportunity to do other Spider-Man stuff, or would it just be pure Slott?
And that is Jessica Jones, by the way, as Jewel. Spider-Man Forever. You could do a whole Spider-Man. That was another one we put in there. All right. Number 14.
It's getting real now.
X-Men by Mike Carey. You people do want your Mike Carey X-Men. So this has the children. This is the introduction of the Children of the Vault, right? And it's the Blinded by the Light, I think, storyline that it was called.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, where it has like Mystique and Rogue and all that. Could collect all of Endangered Species, which has only been collected in a oversized hardcover. It's never been part of an omnibus. Or you can pick up a single Earthbound arc of Brubaker's Uncanny, but happy that this one made it high.
And I think, again, really interesting. This is effectively on the poll twice because people care enough about it both ways. So we saw it already on the poll as X-Men Legacy by Mike Carey. Here it is as just X-Men by Mike Carey. So the difference is this would start over a year earlier with his initial issues. Would it push forward to Legacy? Probably. But would it have to exclusively immediately push forward to Legacy? Well, this could be one of the places that Endangered Species exists, one of the places Messiah Complex exists. It could pick up that abandoned extremist arc by Brubaker. So there's a lot of options that could add to this. But at its core, it means start Mike Carey before Legacy. Don't just give us kind of a odds and ends omnibus that collects that material. We want all of Carey in one place, which makes sense because he does start some of Rogue's arcs here before it turns into Legacy.
Couple of things I want to address. Wait, Brubaker wrote Uncanny X-Men? Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah,
That's
don't.
awesome.
Do not.
And
But you know what? Some people do love Deadly Genesis. Some people do love actually Rise.
You're out of your freaking mind.
Rise.
That is
Oh,
the
yes,
worst
he is.
story.
Rise in the Fall of Shi'ar Empire. I kind of dug, and then he co-wrote some stories with the Matt Fraction. He didn't stick around very long. He's also not the biggest fan of his X-Men run.
No, I mean the story where Banshee gets pulped on an airplane, among others.
But wait a second. I feel like X-Men will never end. I don't ever want to hear One Piece as long. X-Men also started in 1963, and One Piece was what, 1997, right?
Well, don't bring manga into this.
98.
What are you doing?
Don't bring manga into this. I love Deadly. Oh my God,
Lauren and I.
Peter, you're right.
Not surprise me.
Warren and I both reject the zeitgeist, okay?
I don't understand you, dude.
You're
What is
standing
wrong
with
you?
Warren on this. Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Even though I put it in the reprint poll and I already sent that list over to Marvel, people still voted for this book just to show Marvel they mean business. They want the X-Men Executioner's Song Omnibus. If they approve it, if David is like, sure, we'll do it, I'm gonna see if there's any way they can sneak in Shattershot in there. Complete this era.
This has been done in hardcover before, right?
Yeah, there's an OHC of Bishop's Crossing and Executioner's Song and Shattershot.
Okay.
But Bishop's Crossing has been out of print for so many years, and so has Shattershot, or I'm sorry, Executioner's Song. Shattershot had a small print run because they were like,
That went out of print right away.
yeah, because they were like, okay, here's an oversized hardcover. We'll put a Jim Lee cover on it. He does the layouts for that annual. Nobody's gonna buy this, and oh my gosh, people are nuts. I bought it day of, man. Not the greatest crossover, but got Brian Steelfreeze on the spine.
This is one of those where the line between a standard or an OHC and a omnibus gets very thin, but why not?
Yeah, man, this is surprisingly. You went with the Brandon Peterson cover. Yeah, I never did dig his art on X-Men.
Well,
I liked his artwork when it evolved later on when he was doing.
Well, that's because Gene has my hair there.
Oh my God!
We had a very lurid description of this cover on the Epic podcast. I won't repeat it here for a family audience, but we did.
We were just talking about the spider spunk.
Yeah, we did point out how the giant nipples, Strife's giant nipples, and how he seems to be on a stripper stage. That's the only way the layout here makes sense is if Jean is lying across the stage and Cyclops is in the pit, because otherwise Cyclops is just a torso. This layout makes no sense.
Yeah, Brandon Peterson. But that's also during the time when everybody wanted to.
Well, it also looks like Strife has birthed a baby, and then Cyclops has caught and is about to punch the baby.
How much time did you spend on this cover?
This is the strangest X-Men cover ever.
Picking this cover made this whole stream worth it just for that description.
You've awakened things in Lars I didn't know. I did not need to know about.
Oh, I knew about them.
All right. Number 12. Where's Warren? New Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis Omnibus Volume 2.
Okay.
First appearance in the 2016 poll, and then number 11 in 2023. So let's drop one. 2022. Number 28 and 34 in 2021. Overdue. Look at all these people excited.
The chat's going
Francis,
wild.
you cover.
Love it or hate it, it's an important run.
It was the flagship title at Marvel Comics, outselling everything else.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This will dip some with the Secret Invasion Omnibus, but we know that's an event omnibus, so it's going to be mapped differently. Absolutely. I like your thoughts on what this will have in the finale, huh? So did we? I can't remember. We did put Avengers by Brian Michael Bendis too, didn't we? When he was writing Mighty Avengers and Dark Avengers. Great choice for the cover, though. I loved it. This is my favorite style of Leno Francis Yu. When is Volume 1 coming out? Oh, it is this summer, I believe, in July, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, did I announce it for later this year? Maybe. Oh my gosh, sorry. November, October. James, where are you at, James? Find out when it's coming out. November. Thank you, Warren. Man, Warren. None of my picks so far. All right, Roy.
Wow.
Fingers crossed, buddy. Number 11, Alpha Flight Volume 2. The Bill Mantlo era. Bill Mantlo and John Byrne said, hey, let's switch books. You work on Hulk, I'll work on your Alpha Flight. What is this Canadian nonsense? So this is what we're dubbing the Alpha Flight Volume 2, the Bill Mantlo. Mignola actually went over with him too.
Yeah.
You get the first published Jim Lee Marvel comic in here too.
Yes.
So absolutely, I would buy all of the Alpha Flights. I know it gets bad later on. Oh, it gets horrible, and there's so much drama in this volume right here. Some of it doesn't make sense, but I'm in for it. Woo!
I want it so bad, and it's been on the poll. I mean, it's been in and out of the top 10. It's always in the top half. It's a very, very popular option because it continues a line that exists already with just a Volume 1. Well, it's not really Volume 1, it's John Byrne. And also because Bill Mantlo's Alpha Flight run is just looked on very, very positively.
Yeah.
I want it bad.
We think
it's never been collected.
And said Alpha Flight by Bill Mantlo because they never rebranded Volume 1 to Volume 1. It's just Alpha Flight by John Byrne. So, yeah. Do you consider Alpha Flight an X-Men adjacent book? I 100% do, but I am a nutcase. Is my dude N-Man here, N-Man 40? I don't know if he does or not. What about you all? Do you all consider it an X-Men book? I did because they premiered in X-Men.
Yeah.
Ice the Wolverine.
Like
gave me a reason to collect Alpha Flight.
Yeah, no, like Deadpool, it's a bit easy to forget about because if you pick up your average issue of Alpha Flight, there's nothing about it that reeks of being an X community book. But it is where it started. So no, I find it very easy to forget that it's an X book.
Nothing more Canadian than Steve Rogers front. Do you think this A stands for Canada?
And Hercules, who's Greek.
Alpha Flight is Canadian. Is Canada X-Men. Alpha Flight and Power Pack. Alpha Flight is definitely an X-Men book.
Omnibo.
Yeah, I agree with Omnibo. I agree with that. All right. Before we get to the top 10.
Do we all need to take a tranquilizer?
Well, Peter has an intermission. He's got statistics first. Peter, drive.
All right, so a lot of people in the chat have been bemoaning or celebrating the prominence of certain things on the poll. I knew this would be the case because we're all very detail-oriented people. So I wanted to put some numbers to it because statistics, when they aren't lies, are very useful. So let's talk about some of the divisions on the poll. New versus old. 42% of the top 60 are appearing on the poll for the first time. So almost half of the books are brand new votes. Spider-Man versus the X-Men. 27% of the top 60 have been Spider-Man. 23% of the top 60 have been X-Men, which means X-Men and Spider-Man together account for exactly half of the top 60. I'm also counting books like Spider-Girl, Venom as Spider-Man family. So for some of you, that's too much. For some of you, that's not enough. But if you've been wondering why they're showing up so much, that's because together they are half. Spider-Man officially more popular than X-Men.
I hate to stop you because when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. But did you include Alpha Flight as an X-Men title?
That is a good question. Did I include Alpha Flight? Let's see how I did not. I did not include Alpha
Damn
Flight.
right you didn't. That's why X-Men's so low.
It would still be only 25% if we include Alpha Flight. Okay.
Include Wolverine
Silver and Bronze versus Modern. Another very equally weighted thing. 17% of the top 60 would collect material from Masterworks volumes. 17% of the top 60 would include material from the past 10 years. So for those who are like, it's all old stuff, and for those of you who are like, it's all new stuff, you're both equally right and wrong. And then finally, Marvel versus non-Marvel. There are 10% of the top 60 books do not feature Marvel characters. So G.I. Joe, Transformers, 2001 Space Odyssey, even though Machine Man eventually pops up. So that's 6 out of our 10 books have been licensed.
Okay.
People are asking me to send the top 30, top 25. I don't want to. I can't send a huge list, right?
No, you can't.
If I send the top 60, they're gonna laugh and go
Less,
no.
well, also
If
less.
I send the top 20,
Yep.
I know it's more likely they will look at it and go, huh.
Less is more. Less is more.
As long as in the top
other,
10 we have the Millie the Model Bus.
oh, you're in the bottom 600.
It got votes.
And I will say,
voted.
this is what people voted for. Because it just anytime people gripe about another Spider-Man, another X-Men, another Batman book, it's always the same thing. Yes, we can gripe about it, but those books do sell.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Spider-Man, X-Men readers are and I say this with affection, the biggest nutcases. I mean, they really are. They are loyal. We ran into this problem. We ran into this problem at Wizard quite a lot. Is that we took a lot of flack that you're not promoting the indie books enough. And it's like, yes, but unfortunately, they just don't get the heat or the eyeballs. I mean, the readership was determining what we were covering.
Yeah, of course.
It's like it is the unfortunate reality that the readership is Marvel and DC heavy, and you do the best you can for everything else. Blame fandom, not us.
Blame fandom, not us. I like that. That should have been the quote or the logo on the Wizard magazine.
Yeah,
title.
no, exactly. We should get that.
It's your damn fault, not us.
Yes.
Okay. Let's do the top 10.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
I am
number 10. Punisher.
Now we're talking.
Coincidentally, I am just reading this on Unlimited. Like the last week, I've been reading this. It's wonderful.
You have some wonderful Kaketo. This is actually the run that had introduced me to Kaketo. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's
now that guy is blowing up. But yeah, this is a great run.
It is.
It would be a smaller omnibus, but I'm okay with that. I mean, we're looking at 22 issues, maybe, if that. What do you got, Peter? Punisher Warzone 1 through 5, 16. Yeah.
It's really all there is. There's not really anything else to put in it.
tends to do smaller runs. His Wolverine run is not that long either. But this is really good.
Yeah, it's a great run. And it's one of the modern runs post. It's not Max, so it's not as gratuitous as Ennis or Aaron's run. But it's good.
Yeah.
And these are impossible to find. These trades are way hard to find.
Oh yeah, they're hard to find. The complete collection, they did a complete collection, didn't they? Of the series?
Probably. They did for Wolverine, but as far as I know, they were just individual trades for this one.
So total, I think 3 trades, right? Where is Sugar Man? He would love this.
It's funny you mentioned not as gratuitous because, again, having just read this in the last week, there are so many shots of the Punisher plugging people in the head. And yet, you don't have to go farther than that. I mean,
Peter, did you include the Punisher as a Spider-Man book?
Well, if Alpha Flight's an X-Men book, then Punisher is a Spider-Man book.
Well, maybe if it helps Marvel print it, they can call it Spider-Man The Punisher by Greg Rucka Omnibus. I'll be fine with that. Yeah. Moving on to number 9.
Wait a sec. Freddie shows that I am right. So, Brian, you can throw up in your mouth again. Jess is right.
Why are you picking up Brian? He left you alone.
Just does that happen? So
no, Brian hates me, so I just want to make sure he can throw up in his mouth.
Jess, listen to me. No, nobody hates you. Hate's a strong word. We saved that for like cauliflower. I hate cauliflower.
Okay. I'm the cauliflower of
Oh my God,
YouTubers
you are the
not trying.
cauliflower of this panel.
Jess, are you right so infrequently that you have to savor the moment?
Is there
Well,
anything else that needs to be said before I move on to number 9
Please.
about the Punisher?
No.
Okay. See, look, bro.
Oh well. Oh, you like me, or you just don't hate me? I
Oh
appreciate it. Peace
God,
and love,
Jen.
buddy.
Please don't forget to smash that like button.
Yeah.
Number 9, X-Force by Colin Yost. We were just talking about how
Ooh.
important of a run New X-Men was when Colin Yost took over, and then that became X-Force. Like they took X-23 and moved her over to X-Force. They told Peter David, "Hey, you can't have fun with Rain anymore. She's coming over to X-Force." And Peter David's like, "Okay, that's fine. I'll just use Darwin. Nobody cares about that Deadly Genesis crap anyway." So this isn't the first time it's won. This is probably one of the most wanted Omnis that I've seen a lot of X-heads want.
It's kind of wild that we don't have it yet. It's so obvious.
It is
It's so
crazy.
omnibus sized. It's really wild that we don't have
Well,
it.
I think mapping it would be the problem, right? Like mapping it would be like, I know you and I have discussions about this, and we fought in the Messiah trilogy, Map My X. That might be some part of the problem. I don't know, but this would be good. This would be good. It would be a good one. I actually like this more than Uncanny X-Force. And I think a lot more people like Uncanny X-Force more.
It's a good read. It really, like, Yost and Kyle and Yost really set up a lot of big plots at the beginning. They all pay off, and what doesn't pay off by the end of this also pays off in Second Coming. Like, it's just a very satisfying, contained run. It's incredibly brutal. At one point, I counted the number of people who died on panel. It's issue by issue, just for fun. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it's got great artwork too by Clayton Crane. Like it was unique at the time. Everything else, and Mike Choi's artwork in here was unique at the time compared to what was happening in Uncanny and all the other titles.
People, of course, are asking why 14 through 16 is skipped in that top box. It's because they are skipped in the Kyle and Yost oversized hardcovers because they're part of Messiah War. Could this fit all of Messiah War? Absolutely. It would not make it too long or too unwieldy of an omnibus. But again, when we speculated on collection, we tried to speculate on the minimum thing it could collect. What is the absolute minimum a book with this title would have to have? And the absolute minimum in this book would be the 2 Kyle and Yost hardcovers. You will see in the notes box underneath, you could fit the entirety of Messiah War. So I do think it makes sense for this to contain all of Messiah War as plus all of the one-shots from Necrotia. I don't think it would make sense to include the X-Men Legacy Necrotia issues because it's just a totally different arc that happens to be called Necrotia.
And they actually use some of the kids from the New Mutants, New X-Men arc too, like what is this, the Elixir? So yeah,
Elixir becomes a big deal in this book.
Huge later on. Yep. Fudge, yes. I almost dropped another F-bomb. Oh my God, I didn't know this was going to be voted so high. Spoilers, I voted for this one. Oh my God, yes. All day, every day. Odds of this one happening probably a lot lower than anything else I've seen so far on the on the list. But oh my God, it would be a dream come true. Oh, yeah, and for the people that don't know, Akira has been, of course, printed in the traditional right-to-left format. Black and white with the new translations by Kodansha, but they're using the Dark Horse translations. This would be the epic era of Akira. So oh my God, like this stuff right here that reads from left to right. But on top of that, I'm just going to highlight myself really quick why I love this book so much. It's also, you have Katsuhiro Otomo's colors, of course, but the rest of the book is in color, supervised and approved by Katsuhiro Otomo himself. So they couldn't do anything without his approval. Oh my gosh, this would be awesome. This was, Omar, did you make your vote count 100 again? No, they found my address and they banned me. But I'm just so happy so many people knew about this and wanted it there. That would be awesome. Not a old manga fan. Of course not, Warren. Of course.
We love you, Warren.
That doesn't surprise me. I like newer manga. I like newer manga. Okay. Yeah, this is, it's not it's not My Hero Academia, but it's a masterpiece. I don't see this one happening. Not with that attitude, nobody.
So negative.
I mean, I did say that out of all of the entire list that I saw, this is probably the one that's like, nah. And the problem is that the colors belong to Marvel. It's so weird how the copyrights work. While the manga itself belongs to Kodansha, the license for the colors and that stuff. And the translation, I think, actually belongs to Marvel too. It is a freaking legal nightmare, I'm sure. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, to make me happy. Is it worth it to print this in omnibus format? I don't know. I mean, showing up at number 8, it's huge.
Pretty high. Yeah.
We do live in a golden age of impossible reprints. I approve.
Wow,
no,
yeah.
Akira means Gen X gets bumped to number 20. Damn it! No bumping going on here. Civil War. This is one that I get asked often. And honestly, it hasn't happened, but I know it will happen. There's no way that they don't do this. Much like House of M, it had a series of Red Sky tie-ins, if you will, with other titles like Wolverine. Just because it had the Civil War logo did not mean that it tied heavily into the Civil War event. Great artwork, though. It has been collected in oversized hardcover, as well as the Civil War events. They've all been collected in oversized hardcover. The Frontline, the Aftermath, and all that has been in oversized hardcover format. Let's see.
There's
here.
just no way to get this in one book, of course, but
No, this would be 2.
Yeah.
Did you ever mention what the box set was, Omar? No, I didn't. And I can't say anything because they told me that they still want to surprise people and make it one day. So there is. I do ask from time to time. I think I ask twice a year now. Can I announce the unsolicited box set that you all were working on? I didn't vote for this one, but I still approve. Civil War 2 books is fine. I'll buy. Okay. Any more thoughts on Civil War? Number 7.
I think Marvel is just trending in this direction, right? We got a House of M omnibus.
Yeah.
It feels like every couple of years they're just going to recollect each event that has never been an all-in-one omnibus into omnibus. And great. I think, we're coming up on 20 years since some of these events, which is absolutely wild. And it's about time to commemorate them.
Do you think that they'll do things like Fear itself?
I hope so. It's
Eventually.
the only one that's never gotten oversized hardcover,
Yeah.
aside from being in the Matt Fraction Thor omnibus.
That's what I was thinking. And then they can collect like the Fearless and things like that, and all the tie-ins like X-Men. And then we'll be triple tipping with all the Gillen X-Men.
Yeah.
Another one that we need 2 books.
I'm not someone who wants all the bells and whistles and the side titles. I'd rather just have the story itself, but a lot of people want all of it.
Well, and with Civil War, there's haves and have-nots with the tie-ins. There's some tie-ins that relate so closely that you could read them panel by panel. The chat pointed out it's pretty much a Spider-Man book. All of the Spider-Man tie-ins map really, really closely. Then there are some tie-ins that are happening like way off to the side, and they would probably fit better in a companion book.
Cap does not have MySpace. He's making fun of the Civil War Frontline issue where Paul Jenkins had what's her name, his new character that he created in that Generation M. That was like Jessica Jones telling Captain America he's not American because he doesn't have MySpace. Number 6, X-Men Dawn of X. X-Sets are crazy. Volume 1. Not Immortal X-Men, not X-Men, not X-Men by Jerry Duggan. It is Dawn of X is what people voted for.
Yeah, this is
so
gonna be
high on the list.
This is gonna be a tough call. I'm sure there's people who want omnibuses of everything Krakoa related, but
do you not think we live in a world where there's going to be 2 different ways of buying the Krakoa era?
Well, that's it. Well, at 3 or 4. I mean,
probably a year or 2 after it's come out.
Yeah, no, you're right. They've shown no resistance to that. This is the way I might do it, but I can see why people want it. Yeah.
This was number 50 last year, Peter.
And it's number 6 this year.
Y'all
now that the end is in sight, people really want
it
on their shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is huge. I didn't expect it to show up this high up on the list. And this is the one that's mapped like one of my favorite things that has come out in recent years is the IDW era of Transformers, where they're going in and mapping them in chronological reading order, not publishing order. It would be really interesting to see how that's determined if they do it. I would love to sit in that room and help map this. That would be so amazing. And fight. Peter, we should sit in a room and do a stream where we map this and fight. And
I can't get behind a chronological mapping. I mean, this takes.
Well, that's why we just booted you off the team.
Well, exactly right. No,
you're not even invited to the party.
this takes you to such madness as putting like in the Chronicles of Narnia, putting the magician's nephew first, which is stupid.
Whoa, where's my wife? She's come down here.
First, let me say nerd.
Slap you.
Second, so look, there are these Dawn of X anthology trades, but if you look at the Dawn of X and all of the Krakoa era anthology trades, they're kind of in reading order, but really they're mostly in a release order that makes a little bit of sense. Like sometimes if there are two issues that really went right next to each other, they would put them next to each other in the anthology trades, but generally it was like week by week release. If you're going to do that, and that made sense because they were coming out as the issues were coming out, and so they just whipped whatever issues into them that made sense to put into them. But supposedly Jordan White has a PDF somewhere that has all of this era in the reading order that works the best. So again, we're not here to prescribe a map, but this could just follow what the anthologies collect. It could just do one arc at a time. Marvel has followed that format before in the Ultimate line when they did an Ultimate Marvel Omnibus that had the first arc of all the Ultimate books. Or it could be totally interwoven in reading order if that would make for a good reading experience. We don't know. I think the chat is bringing up a good point, which is that Marvel bailed on the anthology trades. They stopped in the middle of one. Now they got 3 sequences deep into them, over 30 books, but they did stop in the middle of that line, leaving many things uncollected. And you had to switch to the individual collection. So there is a lot of distrust in the X-Men fan base that if they started this omnibus line, they would get to the end, because each one of these little sub eras of Krakoa would need like 3 books each.
To be slightly fair,
I'm curious how his reading order would be different than, I'm coming at it from a fan's perspective and like how I think these books should be read, because especially when you're reading them in the Dawn of X story, the trade paperbacks, you can start telling like, oh, this issue of X-Force definitely took place before this issue of Fallen Angels. And that's even in the first, 5 volumes of Dawn of X.
To be fair, they canceled the range that you're referring to because it stopped selling, which is perhaps, evidence that maybe throwing in everything to the entire range is not going to work.
Now that my brain is freed up from all this poll mapping, I plan to map this 2 ways. I'm going to map it all the anthology way, so everything is in one line, and then I'm going to map it everything in separate lines with companions and stuff, also to collect everything, and we can have our own map my X debate about which one is the superior.
I would love to take part in that. I'm almost done with Reign of X, and then I'm moving on to Trials. So I have read this.
Yes, Brad wants to come in to map my X. We got to take it with the council.
Take it up with the noisy council.
It's called the silent council.
the noisy one.
Okay. Dawn of X. Damn, that's high.
Yeah, crazy.
Number 5.
Okay.
X-Heads aren't done yet because they also want the Messiah trilogy. Not only that they want the Colin Yost X-Force, they're like, give it all to me. Endangered Species, Messiah War, Messiah Complex, Nation X, Second Coming. Damn, y'all are crazy. I'm all here for it. Beautiful David Finch covers, though. I do like those. This is during the Ed Brubaker era of Uncanny X-Men that kicks off the Messiah Complex, of course. Mark Silvestri doing the one-shot, so I'm all here for that. But going on this, this would definitely be 2 or 3 volumes, right, Peter? Is that what we decided?
Well, so look, we know people have voted for Messiah Complex on its own. We know people have voted for Messiah Trilogy. This was kind of a simplification, sorry, James, to make it make sense. I don't love it, but I think we tried to simplify things where it seemed like the poll needs simplifying. Could this be one volume that just had Complex, War, Second Coming? Yes, it absolutely could. They would fit in one book. It would be missing a lot of connective tissue. Messiah War doesn't really have anything to do with either of the other 2 stories, but a lot of people want that in the same way they want a Starland Infinity Saga book that just has the main 3 Infinity miniseries. Fine. Or this could be like a sequence of 3 books that collects all of Endangered Species and Messiah Complex in the first volume. It could have all of Messiah War and all of Cable in the second volume, which actually would explain the story of Hope, which is really the bridge between Messiah Complex and Second Coming. And then it could then have Nation X and Second Coming in the third book to complete the Fraction run. Who knows? This is us just playing Map My X in miniature on this slide, but it's clear that fans say it is time to reprint Messiah Complex in oversized hardcover, and then however you proceed from there is just gravy.
Yeah.
Oh man, even the issues with X Factor, Peter David was doing his own thing that spun into the whole Layla Miller storyline with Madrox. Oh God, I'm a big fan of this era. I remember interviewing Joe Quesada when I had a podcast, and they hadn't announced Messiah Complex, and I said that it felt like the X titles weren't connected anymore because everybody's doing their own thing. And he was like, well, we just had our summer meet and we are doing something next year I think you'll be really happy about. And they started the events again. Now, whether you like events or not, I don't know, but it was really cool for me to see that come back. Loved it. Are we doing honorable mentions? I don't think there were any honorable mentions because this was a weighted vote. Like, you all voted and it was... Yeah. There's nothing really honorable. There's some dishonorable choices, though. Wow.
There we go.
Hell yes. Moon Knight, the modern era. Looking at
now we're
Ellis, Cullen Bunn, Brian Michael Bendis, Brian Wood, Jeff Lemire, and Max Bemis. This is a huge gap filler, especially now that we're getting a Jed MacKay omnibus. Yeah. So this happens after the Charlie Houston run. So yeah. I didn't know there were so many people that love Moon Knight. And I'm curious where this love came from.
I've been surprised just how well the Jed MacKay run has been selling.
I'm surprised how well Moon Knight has been collected in omnibus format.
It is.
When did this happen?
Well, it's Jed MacKay doing really well for them. I mean, I don't know.
The Jed MacKay stuff is really good, and all these writers here made Moon Knight really interesting and up to date. I have a lot of these in a custom bind, and these are top-notch Moon Knight. These are the stories that helped me really get into Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Have you all seen the meme where it's like thank you for all you've done for blah blah blah, and then it's like thank you for all you've done, not you, for blah blah blah. I feel like I have the perfect meme for this. I'm not gonna say what writer I would put in the middle as the not you, but thank you for all you've done, not you, for Moon Knight.
I think I know who you're talking about.
The great thing about this is it could be any of them, depending on your opinion on who Moon Knight should be.
I have
the
some
character
very
of Moon Knight.
about this one.
Yeah, two things.
Tigereyes, what is your favorite of this, and what is your least favorite?
I like Lemire's. That's one that stands out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious where the love of Moon Knight came from, because I don't like, even before the show, they were like, we're going to release the Moon Knight Omnis. And that sucker sold so well, it got immediately reprinted.
The TV show gave it a big boost.
I mean,
but that was before the TV show.
The TV show.
I know. Yeah.
And it was Moon Knight. I'm like, I'm announcing Moon Knight Omnis. What kind of reality did I just step in where Moon Knight has become this super popular character that there are some runs of Marvel Omnis of characters that haven't been. Superman doesn't, I think, have modern Omnis like Moon Knight. I know this is
if we got this book, we would have all of Moon Knight. He would reach Deadpool status where everything is collected. Yeah, actually, Deadpool's fallen behind for the past 4 years. Moon Knight would then, if this book was announced, Moon Knight would be the most well-collected Marvel character.
Yes, well, yeah, because his publication history is a lot simpler, and eventually they'll run out of anything else to collect. They'll have to collect this.
The Dracula meme, dude. If Moon Knight memes are helping, then that's the target audience they need to go for to sell Omnis. That's crazy.
I mean, he's Marvel's Batman.
This is just really, really good writing on this character.
The Bemis run is crazy, just off the wall. Just
that's my favorite. The Bemis run is really good. Yeah.
The Bemis run
which one is the best one?
I don't know I don't even know what I would say is the best of this. Honestly.
No. What the hell did you two just say?
Bemis, Max Bemis.
Max Bemis. Okay.
What band is
Oh,
he?
We're gonna move on to the next one.
all right.
The top three. The top three. Got to keep this positive.
Okay. All right.
Yet honest. Not you.
Number 3.
Number 3, Spider-Man Volume 6.
Oh wow. Okay.
You all don't care that Spider-Man Volume 5 came out, what, 2 years ago by now? This is number 3, Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 6. First time appearing on the poll in 2021. It's been number 4, number 9, number 17, so it's bumped up one.
Yeah.
Really want this one. Going by the Masterworks, right, Peter?
Yeah, and they are very adherent to the Masterworks mapping in the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus line. No funny business.
Return of the Burglar storyline in issue 200. Some good stories in here.
This
Not as
cover just appealed to me of Spider-Man graduating from his own crotch. It just really spoke to me.
Oh.
It really emphasizes the importance of the spider
Lars
sperm, as
dissect this
mentioned
cover.
many times.
Lars.
There was a disturbing Nightwing cover recently, very well drawn, where Robin was kind of coming out of his crotch as well. It was, I don't know. It's like
Thank you so much, Final Shadow. It was 3 years ago that Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5 came out.
Yeah.
Well, we're not getting Amazing Spider-Man 6 in 2024, so maybe in 2025. Maybe it's time.
Be time.
You know, it would be time. It would be time.
Here's the thing, though.
Feels
People are
like
saying,
a wasted vote here.
But
What?
That's what this poll has always been. People always want the next book. They want to tell Marvel. Even before we knew Marvel was paying attention, they're like, don't stop now. That's always the way that Tigereyes poll has been since the first year.
Sure.
I mean, we know it's going to happen, but maybe they'll look at this and be like, oh, that's right. We forgot about that. Let's go ahead and get that out. The crotch years. Now, when we get, I will. Thank you for that image. I will say, when we get to number 1, I am curious. I'm going to ask the chat what your number 1 vote was. I'm going to start with the panel, but I am curious what the chat voted, what the number 1 vote was. And you know, it's you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I know some people don't mind sharing. But let's get
publish your entire list. Exposed Omar.
Would have been 155 votes for Akira color.
There's been enough exposing here.
There are videos. Spectacular Spider-Man by J.M. DeMatteis up so high on the list.
You guys are wild.
Guys, that's a great cover, though.
Yeah.
So, second annual poll 2014, previous rankings number 5, number 11, and number 4. It's moved up. This needs to happen. I love the mapping. That's perfect. Oh, that was me. I did that. Okay.
Omar was the spider editor. I cannot take the full blame for the spider.
which is why there's so many mistakes. I'm sure somebody's watching going, this guy's an idiot. Number 2. Yeah. Big fan of this run.
So it's funny on Twitter, as we were talking about the poll, I don't, Spider-Man isn't my number 1 expertise. And I said to somebody who said this was their number 1 vote, what is it about this run that makes people wild? It's on like a B Spider-Man title. And they're like, it's just good. It's 90s Spider-Man that's good. It's like absolutely what you want from the character. The storylines are good. It has weight. He feels like a full rounded character.
Oh, yeah.
And so like it actually really sold me on it. Now you'll notice that the map kind of straddles some of the clone era. So it's one of these maps where it's like, okay, well, would it only include the stuff that comes before that? Would it actually include a little bit after that? So it butts right up to that. We don't know, but what we know is number 2 amongst all fans, and the divide in votes between this one and everything else is massive. It is incredibly popular.
Yeah. DeMatteis for me is a better Spider-Man writer than Roger Stern, just because like Roger Stern is very reliable, solid meat and potatoes, but DeMatteis just takes it in weird directions that you have. It had a different feel for sure. My wife is a big fan of this run. Like issue 200 is like one of her favorite Spider-Man issues. Yeah, which is it was a really powerful issue the way it was written. Oh my gosh! Now he did do a little. Oh no, he's doing a mini series, the Goblin Shadow, I think. Yeah, I think it just came out. The first issue just came out because she was reading it. All right, everybody. I need to remind you, you all did this.
Are you revealing what it is before we tell you what our picks were? Or should you have us reveal our picks first? What was for our number 1?
Well, if we want to pick the number 1.
Yeah, I'm just well, no, let me reveal it first, and then I'm gonna go ask the chat and you all what your number one pick was. Okay. 12th year, number one.
Fuck.
Good. Good.
Alf Omnibus.
You gotta be kidding me. This
We
is
are kidding. I'm
I just dropped the F-bomb.
You didn't. Now you got me demonetized, you jerk. How many dogs bald? Not a wholesome channel, everybody.
What would you do this to me for? I took it seriously.
I don't want this crap. We just put it in here. Just joking. But Alf almost cracked the top 100, you absolute maniacs. Maniacs was not the word I used, but Peter is a lot kinder than I am.
I so apologize for dropping the F-bomb.
The 7-year-old kid that's watching this clapping for Alf, and you just dropped the F-bomb. Oh my God. No, that's not the real one. All right, everybody. Let's get to the real one. I'm sorry if
It's
Alf
moving
was
up.
number
I mean, if they
one.
print 20 books from this poll, Alf is going to then be in the top 80.
There
so
it
we're
is.
2 years away.
Number one,
That's what I voted for.
Daredevil by Ann Nocenti. It's been number one for a long time.
Wow. One,
It's
two,
been
and
in
three.
the poll since the first year. It has been number one 2 years in a row. It has been in the top 10. I will tell you how many years in a row. It's hotly demanded. It has been in the top 10 since 2020. It's been in the top 20 since 2017. Even the first year of the poll, 2013, it was number 15. It has only been out of the top 20 once in 2016 out of all of the years of the poll.
This is no surprise. I really thought this would be number one, honestly.
Yeah.
And but just because looking at the poll and the history of the poll and how many people have won it, how many people keep asking me for this. So it wasn't an X-Men title, it wasn't a Spider-Man title, it was Daredevil. Damn.
Wow.
So congratulations. Yeah, I'm curious what everybody's number one was. So if you're in the chat, please drop it. I'm curious what your number one vote was, and what y'all want to add more about Ann Nocenti's run. We totally can.
Well,
I didn't know it was so divisive. I'll tell you that much.
It's one of those
until I joined the internet. Go ahead, Peter.
I was just going to say it's one of those creator-centric runs where would you really want it to be creator-centric? Because she skipped some issues, 236, 238 to 240. Or I'm sorry, the ones that are not in the lineup down there, she skipped. Or would you really just want this to be all-inclusive and then primarily by Nocenti? Because she didn't write annuals, she didn't necessarily write all the OGNs, but they all were in this period. So it's kind of like, which way would you go? Yeah.
I find it really interesting when I joined the internet, and I was a fool back then when I thought everybody liked the same thing.
Indeed.
It was the AOL. I think it was one of the chat rooms. I was talking to people, and they were like, your favorite Daredevil runs, and it was when I was coming back to pick up some issues. No, it was right as I was leaving comics. My friend had the internet, and we were talking about Daredevil by Ann Nocenti, and somebody was like, "This is not good. This is the exact opposite of good." And I was like, what? I thought everybody liked this. But I get it. It's different. It's a different tone for the character.
Yeah.
What the hell? Thank you, Bruce. Not one FF book. Ultimate FF does not count. No, it does not.
There was an FF Masterworks line book.
But if you're looking at major nodes of Daredevil, most of them have been collected. I mean, Mark Waid's an omnibus, Bendis is an omnibus, Brubaker's an omnibus, Miller's an omnibus. I mean, this is the one that's, outstanding.
And I'm going to go through everybody's picks, by the way, here in a second. But I am curious about the panel. And I want to start with my buddy, Tigereyes. But first, Omar, how many books from last year's polls have been made? Also, no Quasar. Peter, you went through that earlier, right?
I believe our very good friend of the channel, James Verdon, has done that. So I'm going to pull up his notes and see if I can answer that question.
So there you go, nobody. Also, no Quasar. Quasar was very close to my top 10 that I almost voted for.
How many of your picks made it?
Of mine?
Anybody's.
Oh, that's a good question, Tigereyes. But I asked you first, what was your number one choice this year?
Sorry. I knew my number one wasn't even really ranked, but I picked Cross-Gen's Ruse.
Oh, yes.
Barry Windsor Smith. Very nice. Very nice.
Mark Waid.
No, Ruse, not Rune.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that correction, Lars.
Yeah, Ruse would be good.
How long did that series go?
Not long.
It's like 26 issues and a mini and a couple one shots.
Yeah. It would make a
Okay.
lovely omnibus.
Yes.
Is the thing.
Yeah, like when and done.
What about you, Lars? What was your number one pick this year?
Tricky. There were so many good ones.
Don't be shy, Lars.
Probably Spider-Man by DeMatteis, because I don't buy huge amounts of Spider-Man, but I would buy that one. Yeah, atypical for me.
Peter, what was your number one vote?
My number one was Uncanny X-Men by Matt Fraction.
Good.
It's time. I want it. Would it start with Messiah Complex? No, because he wasn't writing it then yet. I really love that run. Greg Land is my favorite artist, so that is a no-brainer.
I don't know
half
what to
of
think
my
of you
picks
anymore.
half of my picks are on the poll.
What? Yeah. What? Wait. Was Uncanny by Fraction just purely that one of the choices?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
that was on
That didn't rank.
Not quite.
Here
What
it was
about-
mixed with other stuff. Yeah.
Omni Dog, what about you? And then I'm going to go through the... Oh, wait, no. Peter has to answer this. What was your number one choice, buddy?
I first apologize for my salty language. I honestly thought. I hope I didn't get you demonetized. I don't even use that language on my own channel.
No, I mean,
it was just a gut reaction. I apologize to you, Omar. I'm very
Dude,
sorry.
you're fine. This is the first time you've ever apologized for anything to me. That's hilarious.
I know. I'm
years of work and sweat and blood by Omar, and this is how it ends. Yeah. It's true.
I'm not going to ever be on this channel again. I voted for this Daredevil by Ann Nocenti for number one.
Whoa. Omni Dog getting it right.
And I got no other picks in the top 60. This was the only one I got.
My number one choice was Akira. I thought that was a really good addition.
Oh.
I would love to see that happen.
James is saying I've said worse on my own channel and he has the clips. Okay, never mind.
Peter, did you have that info on how many books from last year have
So this is
been
from
made?
James's analysis, and I think I'm reading it correctly, but he would know for sure. I believe a quarter of the top 60, 15 books, got printed between the poll, or announced at least, between the poll last year and the poll this year.
16? Wow.
15.
That's really
15?
good.
That's a lot.
Who's going to tell G.I. that the Inhumans did not make the top 60? My number one omnibus was G.I. Joe Marvel.
Yeah, and again, I didn't actually vote, but the G.I. Joe one would have been my second pick.
Lars, you're the worst.
We're not talking second pick. Stop.
I'm Norwegian. I can't be trusted inherently.
Don't make this a race thing. I did not say anything about you being Norwegian. I just said Lars, the individual, is the worst.
I think I'm allowed to make fun of Norwegians. It's okay.
Are you though? I think they
James
boot
did
you out.
confirm that 15 of the books from last year did get printed or announced.
That is a lot. Holy crap.
That is
All right.
lot,
Let me go through this list that people are picking here. Spider-Man Adventures was my number one. I'm just curious. Guardians of the Galaxy by Cates and Ewing. Namor. Submariner. Number one's in
That
my
was a
top
shocker
10.
that wasn't on it.
I voted for that.
I'm honestly surprised Fantastic Four Heroes Return wasn't on there either. Fraction by Iron Man by Fraction.
It's on there. Yeah. Good job,
Let me
Jimbo.
make sure. Star Wars Legacy. I would never have voted again if Alf was really number one. Sorry. X-Men Messiah Trilogy. And the cities and X-Men. The NAMM Volume 1, Indiana Jones. The NAMM Volume 1. But man, that one was high up there. X-23 Volume 2, Messiah Complex, big time, number one. No Star Wars Omnis. That was the surprise for me. Alf was my number one. Are you kidding me? Arrakis, my Dune. Punisher by Rucka. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Moon Knight, number one. Nocenti was my number one. Marvel Universe by Bill Sienkiewicz was my number one.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man, but too bad it can't be 300 like the Epics. That's perfect stopping point for Daredevil. Spider-Man by Paul Jenkins and Yost and Kyle's X-Force Messiah Trilogy, Thunderbolts, Old Republic. Dude, I would love that too. I would love an Old Republic too. What the hell? Oh wait, I already read that. No one made the top 21. No, not one. That doesn't surprise me Josh. G.I. Joe, my number 1 was Doctor Strange.
Nice.
3, Warlock in the Infinity Watch. That was another one.
That is a good one. Yes. I wish that
Avengers 6, Battlestar Galactica, Indiana Jones, Kate Bishop by Kelly Thompson.
Nice.
Number 1 was Akira, me and Rahul, Akira Brothers. I don't remember what my number 1 was. My email I got for submitting doesn't say the results. Number 1, I hijacked it and I put Akira in there. My number 1 was X-Men New Age by Claremont, the X-Men Reloaded era. Daredevil by Nocenti, Rampaging Hulk. We are going to be doing the same thing for the DC Omnis, by the way. So we're not done with this year's polls. Ultimate Spider-Man 5 needed to finish. New Avengers 2, that doesn't surprise me from Warren. Gen X from Jake, my number 1. Modern Black Widow, Len Kaminsky's Iron Man. Academy X, Iron Man by Mick Kalani and Leighton 2. Doom 2099. Ultimatum. Black Panther by Hudlin.
Oh, God.
Fantastic Four Heroes Reborn. Spider-Girl. Congratulations to Ann Nocenti, Daredevil being number 1. Hopefully it does become an Omni. We're hoping. Mike Carey, X-Men Volume 1. I don't even remember. Maybe Inhumans Classic. Shogun Warriors. That's right. There's another licensed property. DeMatteis Spider-Man. You expect me to remember which of those choices I did? Yes, Kyle. X Pre-Inferno. Marvel Horror Returns. Was that my title? I think I gave it such a weird title. Number 1 was New X-Men by Colin Yost. Nth Man was number 2. Punisher War Journal. FF Volume 6. Number 1. Civil War. Secret Avengers didn't make it.
I would make 2 really good omnibuses.
Oh, Avengers Academy. That one broke my heart. It didn't make it either. Or Initiative. Iron Man Armor Wars. Star Wars. The Clone Wars. Classic Punisher. I voted for all the Silver Surfer books. Captain Marvel books and Champions, but I don't remember the order. Walter Simonson FF. I did too. And it's not a big book at all, though. X-Men Gambit. I hate
that book would be so good.
Of course you do, Warren. You have no soul. Number 1 was Akira for me. I don't want to drop $1,000 on the Epic line. Do not look at the hardcovers because you're dropping like that much money for one book, honestly. My number 1 was Amazing Spidey, Renew Your Vows.
Yeah.
Glad to see it in the 30s. Sad it didn't do the top 20. But I mean, we do this every year. Omar, I demand a recount. Mexican Gwen Stacy. Oh, did we put that in here?
Yes.
I think I did. Yeah, I did.
You're the spider editor, Omar. It's your fault. It's
I should have chosen a better cover. I'll be on it next year, I promise. Wasn't even on the damn list. Captain Marvel, Volume 2. And number 1 was Nova, Volume 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Mike Carey, X-Men Inferno Aftermath, and Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. We have some more of those. One of my votes is in the top 20 and 2 in the top 40 and 2 in the top 20. I did better than I thought. No, not joking. Peter Porker, The Spectacular Spider-Ham was my number 1 pick.
Wow.
I think you and Curtis are the only 2 people that voted for. I'm just kidding. My top choice was Jeff Parker's Hulk. What a good choice, Aria. That's a solid book. Transformers, the other 4 were Iron Man, Michelini. Scarlet Witch, The Early Years. We mapped that book on Map My X. No Star Wars is surprising at all. I am surprised, seriously.
So here's my theory on that. I think because they're so aggressive on the omnibuses of the legacy material right now that people are like, it's all coming. Like, why am I going to throw away a number 1 vote on a book that Marvel has signaled will absolutely get printed in the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, but I mean, that's the same argument that you could have for things like Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 6, right?
Yeah, I think there's Star Wars fans are not exactly famished, and there's I can't even think of like any enormous glaring holes like Daredevil and Nocenti. That's a glaring hole. I can't think of one for Star Wars immediately.
Civil War, Iron Man, Peter David Hulk Omnis had issues not pad included. That is true.
Sure.
Amazing Spider-Man 6 was my numero uno. Hulk by Mantlo and Pack deserve a spot on this list. I believe that. Omar, how many books? Peter answered that. Actually, James answered that. We demand a recount. Who's we? You and Lars? Daredevil Nocenti was my number 1.
I'm happy with the list.
Alf not making it is my 9/11. That's a little dramatic.
Wow.
My number 1 choice, Marvel's full color version of Akira, also Western. Also reads Western style, so Jess can finally read it.
I tried.
Didn't Fantastic Four Volume 6 appear? No, it did not. Not on the top 60. Nocenti's Daredevil was my number 1 NFL dude. All the Mutants tie. 252. Yep. Jessica Jones Volume 2.
That would be
X-Men
it.
Forever
Yeah,
First
I've got the
Class.
soft covers of that. That's a good one. I have enjoyed this. I have to jet. So
Yeah,
thank
go
you
ahead,
all.
Lars.
I could totally do this all day, but I have to get dinner arranged, or obviously we'll just starve to death because that's how this thing works.
Well, I gotta wrap it up soon too. So you have yourself a good dinner, buddy.
Thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you in the chat.
I did not do that, by the way. Like, that was Lars. I know everybody's like, "Oh, Omar's being fun." No. He jumped himself. Like, I didn't do that. He probably realized he didn't do it. And he's like, "Damn it!" Hulk by Bruce Jones. No Ultraverse, like at all. Invincible Iron Man Volume 4. Like, ever going to see that. Marvel 2-in-1 was my number 1 pick. I want Quasar's Epics. All the books are available digital. Not Akira. Unless you go the way of the seas of the pirates, but they're not good scans.
Not Alpha Play Volume 2. A lot of these books are not available digitally.
No cross
Because
gen.
Marvel often does not put things in digital until it has first hit a collected edition. That is the number 1 predictor of if an older book is going to have its contents on Marvel Unlimited. So yeah, a lot of these books, the Marvel Masterworks lines books are available digitally. Books from the trade era from 2004 forward are digitally. But any books from before 2004 that haven't been hit by a Masterworks yet probably are not available digitally unless they've been hit with the Epic line. So many of these are available digitally, but not everything.
Top 2 were the Carol Danvers options. Number 1 was X-Men, but it's fine because I know we'll get that stuff eventually. Really disappointed about the Falco's FF and Stern's Avengers. Avengers at least was on the list. FF by the Falco, no, though. Only pick I got was Moon Knight, which was my 10th pick. Well, I'm glad you got. Wait a minute. How did you pick Moon Knight as your 10th pick? You have Moon Knight as your avatar. I don't remember my number 1 pick, and I can't see. Oh, that's right. I read that one already. Where's Super Pro? Hopefully in the bottom 600. Mine was Alpha Omar. Why did you tease me? It's what I do. It's what I do. Number 1 is Hulk. 2 is Hulk Mantlo. Omar swears all the time. Do I? Oh, yes, in the house. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Simpsons. Was it really, William? That's the one you bought. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with that, but they're letting Abrams. I think they have something with working with Abrams because Abrams is also putting out the Fantastic Four graphic novel, so they can do like original graphic novels. Alpha's my number 1. I don't believe that. Greg Land is his favorite artist. Was not he the one that got caught tracing certain types of actresses from movies? Not to be mentioned here. Oh, that's a question for Peter. I don't know. I don't know that man's drawing style. He also
great hair. So
he does great hair. He never. I get why people hate Greg Land. I understand, but I don't know. I never got the hate for him as much as other people hate him. Like, I really liked his stuff on Nightwing, but that was also before he started doing what he's been accused of doing.
I like this. I'm going to agree with Peter. I think Peter likes Greg Land. I think he said on Omnidog's Vault before. I like Greg Land's art. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's fun.
I like Greg Land's art if he's doing his new style when he's mixing it with like dragons and stuff like Sojourn.
Yeah, he draws really cool like monsters and robots.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Marvel vs. Wildstorm was my number 1. Alf will never be a Marvel Omnibus. It's owned by Warner's. You don't say never, Bruce.
Tell that to Godzilla, Bruce.
Godzilla's
never say never.
Like Godzilla's being published at IDW and DC, and we're getting the Marvel Omnibus. Exiles was my number 1. My number 1 was X-Men by Carey. Simonson, Thor, FF, Omar, you monster. Why'd you throw that in there? Just to throw that. I didn't vote. I just hope all the books had a good time. Thank you for that, John B. So sad. My number 1, Doom, but it made it into the top 60, and that is a feat. That is huge. Punisher Max Volume 2. Past the Jason Aaron stuff. Nocenti number 1. Number 1 was Punisher 2099. When's the DC's Most Wanted Omnis? I think we have a tentative date, don't we, Peter? Of when we kick it off.
We do.
It's
It's coming, but we got to get through the DC reprints first.
Yeah, we got to do the DC reprints. I think we're going to kick that off next week. We got to do a little bit of work on that too. Don't remember my number one, Nate Gray. No love for my boy. Marvel in trouble. No. No, G.I. Joe number one. Scion and Sojourn, baby. Make it happen. Oh, I'd be on Scion is my. I love that book. You all talk too much. I took a nap, went to the park with my kids, and y'all still ain't done. Thank you for the super chat. Bricked up senpai. Yo, future trunks for life, though. What's up, Dimebury collectors? I'm gonna see this dude in a couple of weeks. I find it interesting that Uncanny X-Men 4 and 5 would always be in the top 3 for years, and now Volume 6 doesn't even make it in the top 60. Isn't that crazy? Because people are like, "Oh, I already got Mutant Massacre, and I'm gonna get X Factor." That's nuts, man. If Ann Nocenti DD number 1, we can always do well with Daredevil. Yes, that's a good choice. What do I want for dinner? A sandwich? Oh, my wife. Texting me. Sergeant Fury and Howling Commandos. El Muerto. No, that's not a thing. We didn't even put that on. Number 1
that was not on the ball.
Here, Straczynski Spidey Volume 1, but I managed to get a copy. Oh, the reprint poll, right. Poe Dameron is the only glaring hole in Star Wars. That will come, honestly. Next year, I'm voting for Marvel Universe by Phil. I didn't waste a vote on Transformers or G.I. Joe because they ain't coming from Marvel. Eat it. Way to go, Brian. I said it with an attitude. I'm happy about Agent Venom, Spider-Girl, and Renew Your Vows. My number 1 was FF by Tom DeFalco. At least Phoenix Volume 3 didn't make it. That's right, Peter. Where are you at with your Phoenix 3 love? That would have been Rachel, man. Star Wars Legacy has never been in omnibus format, even a Dark Horse. All on these Marvels put out are Star Wars. Seem to be 8, but they do the Epic Collection, so they can just get those scans. And those are mapped really well. I'm glad Ultimate Fantastic Four made the list. Speaking of 9/11 issue where Dr. Doom cries, yes, it's in the Straczynski Omnibus Volume 1, Spider-Man by Straczynski. That is a powerful issue, by the way.
Omar, can I give a slight spoiler for the full results? I'll keep it vague.
As long as you keep it vague. I have a contract.
Star Wars Legacy was the highest rated Star Wars book on the poll.
Wow. And it came close. So
very close.
If only Aunt May Loved Life's Omnibus was on the list. I just did a cool review of that Legends of the Monsterverse Godzilla Omnibus. Fury Max. If Spectre, Ostrander, the DC one is going to be a beast. Because, with Marvel, they've done so much, but with DC, it's like building things from scratch almost to put it together.
I was working on it this morning, Suicide Squad.
This is going to be a blast. Can't wait to get on a call with you all the freaking 5 o'clock in the morning so I don't get enough sleep again. What do I want for dinner? My wife. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Star Wars Legacy was my number 3. The mapping in every single is excellent. Huge props to you guys, our Titans. Oh, thank you. A lot of that is all Peter, though. Seriously, like Peter stayed up and did all the work for this stuff. But it would be fun. Yes, baby. You want to come say?
I got Fiji before the book club.
Oh, what time's the book? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. What are you making?
What do you want?
Smash that like button. Don't forget to check out
Tell everybody on the internet.
Better days.
You want a sandwich? You just
I'm muted just again. He's the worst.
You want a sandwich?
Don't mute me.
Okay,
give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
No, I'll just make you something.
Okay,
She got me this bat puppet.
Yes, she
I
did.
haven't had breakfast yet, people. Let's get our priorities straight.
Okay. It would be fun, hear me out, to map some of these, Peter.
I don't know if people realize, but on crushingcrisis.com, I proposed a full map, not just a minimum map, for every single one of the 634 books.
It would be one video a month, and it would take us a few years to get through the entire list. By that point, Marvel would have already probably released some of these. But in all seriousness,
everything, man. Millie the model, everything.
Yeah,
baby. Ultraverse. It's all mapped.
You're insane.
Because I never want to do it again. This was a mapping once and for all.
Samantha, is it really your birthday today? Well, happy birthday, Samantha. She wants a mapping show. Well, you'll get one. Let us get through these poll months. We got May to get through, and then we can start talking about mapping. And besides, I got to bring the Evergreen videos back. Those are great too. But seriously, I could not have done this without you all. This has been a blast. Thank you all for voting. Anybody that voted, or even if you left a comment to see how you put things in there next year. And a big thank you again to James for running the poll, for Dom for helping putting some of these books. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun, but also a lot of work. For Taylor, and of course my panel today. Lars left, but you all know where to find him. Iowa somewhere. Peter, where can people find you, buddy?
You can find me on crushingcrisis.com. That's crisis with a K, where I talk about this kind of stuff all the darn time. I cover Marvel new releases. I just started to address DC new releases. I have guides to the vast majority of the Marvel universe. And if you go back a week or two, there are mappings for every single poll option from this poll, 634 books. Not only fun to look at as maps, but if you want a cool reading order for one of your favorite characters or teams, maps are perfect to set a reading order and then attack Marvel Unlimited.
Jess, where can people find you, buddy?
You can find me swearing, cussing like a sailor on OmniDogs Vault on YouTube, OmniDogs_Vault on Instagram, and Peter M will be appearing on the FOMO show. When, Peter? Will you be appearing on the Reorganizing My X-Men FOMO show, where you pick all the books I don't have?
As soon as I am released from the shackles of making all 600 plus votes on the DC Omnibus poll.
Oh my God, I hate you.
Are you kidding me? 600? That's just the start, dude.
Oh.
It's going to be 1,000 books in there.
Release my man.
Oh, there we go, Samantha. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Samantha.
And Elon, thank you so much for the super peace and love F-bomb pieces. I really appreciate you, Peter, and all the dedication and hard work you put in. That is from Elon. Tigereyes, you don't want people to find you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my full name.
You like long walks on the beach.
Yes. No, this is really my only outlet. I love the Omnibus, I love the forum. I'm appreciative that you all invited me. I will continue chipping away at the DC stuff with y'all. I was just on a couple hours ago, but it's been fun. I hope you have me again.
Oh, of course, man. This wouldn't even be a thing without you. Not the internet, the Tigereyes poll, I mean. So, yeah, thank you. And if you're interested in checking out any of these books, when and if they get announced, check out Cheap Graphic Novels. They're based out of here in America. They have books up to 50% off. Right now, they're having a huge Marvel sale, not just on Omnis, but also Epic Collections. And tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way for free shipping on your next order. So, thank you. Smash that like button on the way out. And I will put the full list later on today in the description of the video. If you're on Patreon, I will put the entire list, all 600. Crazy. If you want that kind of info, that will be on Patreon. Everybody stay healthy and safe. Much love. I got to go eat some dinner. My wife was like,